I'm searching though I don't know how. There was a time I used to know. I lost my bearings long ago. And all this time, well, it's my imagination, my fading inspiration that dances in my mind. And it's a crime. Only my imagination, my own interpretation should lead me down this road, and I know where to go. To find my travels as
To
you
find
can.
those travels as you can, as the song always says. What's going on, everyone? Hello, Goglings, Gogorifics, Gog peoples of the world. I hope everyone is doing okay. And welcome to episode number 420. I will allow you to make your own conclusions about any implications that you want to take from that number. But episode 420 of Pen and Pixels. I am your host, Arvin Elleron. This is the show that focuses, that we run every Tuesday from between 4 to 4:15, leading to 7 to 7:15 p.m. Eastern, focusing on story and narrative in games. And we are going to continue today with Sovereign Syndicate. This was intended to be a Talisman Adventures stream, but one of our players was very much under the weather, and so the whole crew wanted to have the entire group, which I always understand and appreciate, and said we really wanted to have the full crew moving with this, and so we are going to reschedule. Now we are going to be, we've got in 2 weeks more of Talisman Adventures planned anyway. The plan was to do that, and then to have one big concluding one, hopefully during ArvCon, would hopefully wrap up Talisman Adventures, but that's the plan. So in any case, it is a high number. Yes, it is. Very high. I see what you did there. But in any case, so that is what the plan is. So that means more Sovereign Syndicate today, and I'm definitely moving into the home stretch now. All of the characters are basically showing up at the mansion, and so that's clearly where all the characters' lines are going to be drawn together here, one way or the other, which should be a good time. Before I go any further, just a couple of reminders about ways to support the channel. If you haven't done so already, please follow the channel. Please, if you have not already done so, consider subscribing to us here on GOGCom's Twitch channel. That helps all of the streamers and also allows you to show your support for the channel as a whole. And if you have not already done so, please consider as well clicking through and checking out our own channels, because we have our own individual subsystems and Patreons and stuff like that as well. Now, one quick warning to everybody. Today is a very odd day in my house because we have workers in that are basically spray insulating the entire basement. I live, as you folks know, in a over 220-year-old house, and the foundation has got spots that are not as sealed off as they might be. Thank you so much, Capness. And you get nifty emotes with this channel. Yes, you do. Thank you so much for the 89-month streak. Thank you so much, Capness. Appreciate that very much. Anyway, they're doing spray insulation in the basement, which is going to be great for my energy bills, and it's going to be great for the comfort of the household. But it also means that we have about a day to a day and a half of some rather serious disruption, like the doors being wide open when, we're going to have flies and bugs in, which is my least favorite thing about summer. So not that it's summer yet, it's spring, but still. And then the other fact that I have both my cats up here. Now, I love my cats, but they are up here right now. Clearly, they would like to be exploring down in the basement, going elsewhere. But instead, we brought their litter box and food and water up here. So right now, one of my cats is chilling out over in the light next to the fireplace, and the other one is chilling out in the corner of the room. So I feel bad because I think they're both kind of like, wait, why can't we leave? I'm like, because you can't go. They're doing the insulation. Anyway, so I mention all of that to say that I may end up having some disruption today, and I apologize for that up front. It is very possible that I will have to, stop once or twice. I mean, not stop the stream, but I may have to go away from the stream for a few minutes. I was dealing with this last week as well with some house stuff, and this is the actual insulation stuff that I'm having to do. So I apologize ahead of time, and if I have to do that, and hopefully it will not be very disruptive, but there's not a whole lot I can do about it because I got to get the house, in order. So anyway, that is the deal. Just want to let you folks know about that, and I will now turn this on and say hi to all you lovely folks. Welcome, welcome. and all that kind of good stuff. So yes, more Sovereign Syndicate today. Very excited for that, as I think we're moving into the home stretch. And I don't think I have a whole lot else to say other than let's get to it. I am excited to play and get back into this. I will also be back tonight. Kilgore Trout will be on a few hours after I finish with more Deus Ex, but I will also be on my own channel tonight playing more of the Banner Saga 3 with the amazing Art Vocalist. So you will definitely want to stop by for that monthly session, because that is always a good time. Otherwise, though, it's time for some more Sovereign Syndicate. Let's do it. I have a couple of possibilities for games I've been thinking about maybe after this game concludes, but I have to be honest, like one of them I keep getting drawn back in. I'm like, maybe I can play some Tintin. They patched it again. It was a big patch, but then I'm like, I don't know if I want to take that chance again. So I don't know. I'll have to think about it. Okay, now Atticus. Everybody else is heading off to the mansion. And Atticus was the last one that we had to deal with about this. So, okay, so let's see. Still trying to find more gin. Pay Babcock a visit later. Still working on the old crone. Have to pay off my outstanding rent. All right, so I have to talk to Molly. Also, the courtesan killer. The secret keeper, yes. And Molly's the one I'd have to talk to about that. Okay. Right, and Penny told Clem I have to reconcile my past. Okay. Dr. Wainwright at Nandy's shop. All right, let me go to Sora Square. See if I can get, for some reason, Atticus, I have, like, most of the others have had no problem doing all the side quests, but Atticus just seems to be, like, there's just a lot of quests that are there. So. Is it down this way? Is it down this way? Yes, it is. Oh, wait, whoa. Steam is everywhere these days, and this valve looks like it's acting up. In a big city like London, it's hard to escape the sound of machinery. How you doing, MST? Spine after spine of herbal medicine. Nandy must be a fountain of knowledge. But now that I think about it, I bet I have one she hasn't read back in the garret. I should mention it to her. Another side quest. Bleach white bones of various lengths and densities fill the cauldron. This woman is a skilled healer. Plenty of things you could do with bone marrow once it's boiled. Here's the pest who tried to invest Nandy's basement. Preserved forever as a warning against any and all of her enemies. These two were in deep discussion. You could just make out what they're saying if you stay quiet. Safe to assume that's Dr. Wainwright, judging by his vines and close rapport with Nandy. But I didn't approve any of the transfers. If those patients aren't returned, it could mean losing months of research. I understand your frustration, but there's nothing to be gained from a rising temper. Thank you for the follow. At least the ambulance drivers were talkative. Well, they're my subordinates, and a sudden transfer like this justifies a line of inquiry. I only hope my asking doesn't get me deeper. Well, that's me spotted. Good day to you, sir. Don't be afraid to step inside now. How may I be of assistance? I think... Yeah. Good day, Miss Mabasso. I'm actually here to speak with Dr. Wainwright, if you can spare a moment, sir. Of course, excuse me. I don't believe we've had the pleasure of meeting. Clancy Wainwright, physician. Sorry, Clancy Wainwright. Atticus Daly. Pleasure's mine. Well and good, Mr. Daly. But how did you know to find me here? Gotta remember that... Okay, yeah, he's big on self-discipline. One of your employers tipped me off, but I won't name any names. I'm trying to track down a particular patient of yours. Is that right? I have many patients, so you'll have to be more specific. Fair enough, Doctor, but the extent of my knowledge is that she was recently moved from Bethnal House. I really have to remember my voice for this. Well, Miss Mabasso and I were just discussing that, and unfortunately I cannot help you. The order came from higher up. No one said a word to me. Rude and unprofessional is what I call it. But if these were your patients, you must surely know something. To put a fine point on it, the last name I'm looking for is Hathaway, and she happens to be the Catwoman in the incredible Batman Begins series with Christopher Nolan as director. If you're her relative, then it does alter the circumstances. He stares past me a moment as if calculating an equation in his head. I suppose it's only right that I tell you. One of the subjects, patients, was in fact named Hathaway, and the destination was someplace in Braxton County. Braxton County, eh? Not much is out there, save for a few villages. See, this is getting him there as well. Third best Catwoman. Behind who? It's bizarre. Not one hospital in the county, and by far the largest building is Braxton Manor, a beautiful estate on the moors. If you're looking for answers, you might start there. If Matilda was transferred to a well-heeled manor, then she could be part of something the lower classes weren't meant to know about. Oh my, I've just realized something rather bleak. Blood runs right out of his face, and he looks ready to faint, okay? Wit, humility, 94% chance. Are you quite all right? What's troubling you? I may be putting myself in danger, but as I was telling Ms. Mabasso, I'm tired of holding my tongue. The doctor inhales deeply, his collar stretching tightly against his neck. I've been invited to the soiree tonight at Braxton Manor, hosted by Lord Braxton himself. Sounds like a coincidence not to be missed. Self-discipline? Yeah. I see that you're quite shaken. What is it you fear could transpire at this event? Julie Newmar? Yeah. Julie Newmar was fine. Michelle Pfeiffer was okay. Yeah, they were both fine. That's true. I believe the patients could factor into the evening's festivities. Seems a good fellow had an intuition and followed it. You see, Lord Braxton is a member of the board at Bethnal House. He might have used his influence to have the patients transferred to his very manor. But for what purpose? I'm afraid my musings in that regard are rather dark. Doctor, I assure you I can handle your musings, no matter how dark they may be. This is my mother's life we're talking about. Please, just tell me what you were thinking. I don't know anything of substance, but despite his duties on the board, I don't think of Lord Braxton as a man to be trusted. If my patients were taken to his property, well, I don't care to speculate what could happen. Them are fighting words. She is good as Catwoman, yeah. Doctor, if it's possible, can you promise me my mother's not in danger? I'm sorry, Atticus. I wish I could make you such a promise, but in good faith, I cannot. One sec, chat. All right, chat. They say that they're done with the spray installation in the basement, and I need to go check it out. So I'm going to take a minute. I warned everyone that this might happen, but hopefully this means that I then won't have to be bothered. Be bothered again. So just give me like 5 minutes. I will be right back. In the meantime, enjoy looking at this awesome inside of a tree. I'll be right back. Almost done, chat. They're almost ready to leave. Bear with me. Again, I apologize. I mentioned to everybody this is going to be an issue today, but should not be for much longer. They're almost about to leave. So hang tight for a few more minutes. Keep looking at this tree. Keep arguing about who's the better Catwoman, okay? I'll be right back. I don't know how this got switched over, but thank you, Izzy's. I'm sorry about that. I see that we lost someone who got really mad because I wasn't here. Again, we're all set now. They're gone. Insulation is finished. The basement is now fully insulated, which means that my 200-plus-year-old basement is now hopefully not going to be leaking like a sieve in the winters and the summers. But I apologize. They had to do it on today. They couldn't do it another day. It had to be Tuesday, and they came in the morning, starting at 8:30 in the morning, and it's now closing in at 5 o'clock at night, and I had no idea if they were going to be done by 5, by 8, by tomorrow morning. They didn't know either, so that's why I couldn't just say, I just won't have the stream at all, because, for example, now it's done, and now I can continue to stream like normal. So where's the humidor? I could get away with, exactly. So I can get away with kidnapping. But again, I apologize, chat, very much. Not my intention. I have been streaming for quite a long time, and I try not to do that. But sometimes IRL is going to come into play, right? So also, hi, Craigery, and hello to Izzy's and all that stuff. Also, the cats have been freed, free cats. So the cats are now downstairs. They were fine. It was actually really sweet. I came down. I was bringing down their water dish and stuff down to its normal spot. And when I came back up, one of my cats, Sherbert, came back up with me. He's like, are we going back up here? I was like, they're such sweet cats. So anyway, everything's fine. We all managed. And that's step, I don't know which step, but it's one step of a multi-step process about making the house more energy efficient. We're replacing a bunch of windows. We're putting in a new mini split system for the last few rooms in the house that don't have it. So this is going to be a much more energy efficient place as a whole, but there wasn't much I could do about that. Yeah, seriously, I want to demote IRL also. But anyway, it's good to see everybody. I am sorry again that I had to be off like that for a few minutes, but again, I had no idea when it was going to happen. So rather than not streaming at all, I thought this was worth it. So now we're going to focus on this. IRL is a hoax, I've heard. But it's good to see everybody. Good to see Izzy's, Craigery, Darth Sisu, everybody else. And for whoever left, I hope you'll follow again someday. But real life happens sometimes. All right, let's roll. So I want to see if he can help me gain entrance to the party. Beg your pardon for asking, but could you get me into the party somehow? I haven't the means to do that. I can't pretend to be your escort for obvious reasons, and you can't use my invitation. I'm well known in these circles. Thank you, Dr. Wainwright. Your information was helpful. But now I must take my leave as swiftly as possible. For once you refuse to procrastinate. Good. Shut up, you old crone. We're trying to track down Matilda over here. So I've got to go to Braxton Manor, which is, again, I knew that everything was leading me in that direction. So, sorted skulls of several shapes and sizes. Perhaps they come from other worlds, destinations a spirit could reach by traveling between dimensions. They're certainly not from this side of London. Atticus, was it? Forgive me, but I happened to overhear a few stray words of your conversation with the doctor. Anything I can help you with? Perhaps a tincture for your troubles. I see you have a gin bottle on display here. That I do. A most troublesome acquisition, as the label implies. Troublesome gin. Why such a name? Well, any sort of liquor has the potential to cause trouble, does it not? Gonna buy that. Know that I shall not be responsible for any incident caused by the use of that bottle. Let me ask about the tree. This tree here is enormous. How long has it been here? Even I don't know the answer to that query. Nor did the occupants before me. Its origin remains a mystery, but what's important is what it brings now. Quite the collection you have over there. And which one would that be? I have many, you see. Your books. Most of them I've never seen before. Ah, yes. Some of these are older than both of us combined, and others are from lands far away from here. I take a particular interest in the unknown. When one's acquired enough unique knowledge that benefits others, they become more valuable, and value has its price. I have one you may like. Not as rare, but very specific. It could add to your considerable value. It'll be my pleasure to see it, though I doubt its content will be unfamiliar to me. Maybe you'll be surprised. Perhaps. About that troublesome gin. Wait, did I buy the gin? No, I already bought the gin. I'm not going to buy more gin. I already have a gin. All right. Ask about the Sons of Caruso. I don't want to say this the wrong way, Miss Mabasso, but you seem like you might know about some of the things that, scuttle in the dark. She lets her friendly smile drop and reaches into the pouch at her side, retrieving a carved wooden pipe and a small wad of tobacco. Her attention seems to be entirely on the pipe as she replies. Rats, Mr. Daly. Anyone in London could tell you of rats. I'm looking for something a little bigger. Have you ever heard of the Sons of Caruso? She lights the pipe and looks up at you. There are some questions better not asked, Atticus. Why do you want to know? I had a close friend as a boy, back when I was an orphan at Sacred Heart. He disappeared one day after I left, and I never looked into it. A street preacher implied that Father Franco and the Sons of Caruso might be responsible for orphans going missing, so I'm looking into it. My advice to you is to let the past lie. You will find only heartache and danger down this path. Okay, 94% chance. With wit, success. I've already had my share of heartache and danger. I'm hoping that closing this old chapter can get me some closure. And I've got what I think might be a clue already. See this cufflink? She focuses on the bauble for a moment and nods. I found this in a mausoleum. Yeah, I know, right? I found this in a mausoleum at Sacred Heart. It's a damn odd thing to have been lying around where it was. I can see strength in you, Atticus, but this is a dark path. Are you certain you wish to know? I am. I cannot tell you very much, but I can direct you to the next stop on your journey. Whenever someone dies in the smoke, ambulance drivers race to be the first to claim them. She blows an ironic cloud into the space between you. Your friend went missing decades ago, but chances are someone found him. You should look for old drivers, perhaps around the docks and wharfs. Okay? Got anything in stock to make the fates smile down on me? As it happens, I am in possession of a grease, a Vodin staple that brings good fortune to its owner. 2 pounds. Oh, geez. How much do I have? I have 7 shillings. I'm not even close to freaking 2 pounds. Second thought, I'll take my chances without it. As you wish. I should get going. Time is of the essence. Okay. So, that's interesting. So I need to find the driver. So we will check out the docks for that. I wonder if that guy that's been sitting there is the one who's like this. You. Salutations, Mr. Daly. How can I be of service? So tell me, Lieutenant, what was life like before becoming a sailor? Ah, not much to tell. I did a little of this and a little of that. Little ambulance driving, perhaps? I should be careful asking. He's likely to be evasive, and I can only ask once. 93% chance. Convince me more specific. Come now, Glenn. I've listened to your sea tale, and was I anything but a capable listener? An adventurer like yourself must have worked some exciting jobs as a young man. Why is everyone asking me about all this all of a sudden? He rubs his temple in apparent consternation. Fine. I used to work as an ambulance driver once upon a time. And more recently, I suppose. Recently? Look, I take no pride in it, really. Did it a while when I was a young man and got out of that rotten business when I joined Her Majesty's Navy. Rotten? Are an ambulance driver's an altruistic lot? Ever since my discharge, it's been a bit tough making ends meet. The pension only goes so far. So yes, I've gone back to it. At least I'm not still doing Arsenal's dirty work. Blood drains the lieutenant's face. Ah, forget that last part, will you? Show him the cufflink. Okay, is a 93% chance. Tell me more. Look here, does this seem familiar? It's my cufflink. Where did you find it? I think you know where. His face twists into an expression of agony. Ah, fine. But you can't repeat this to a soul. I'm no journalist, Glenn. But I came here looking to bring the truth to light, so you better get on with it. He doesn't relax hearing that, but he does continue. It was all some 2 decades past. I was a young man, all full of vinegar, and I was good at my job. Driving an ambulance is a competitive business, you know. Not everyone can do it, and you need to be fast. I've heard they'll steal patients from each other like medical highwaymen. Patients, yes. Wanted dead or alive. Well, one day a certain local businessman reached out with a lucrative offer. He knew I was the best and he wanted my help. Help with what? Is he a physician? Not exactly. You might say he paid well for the leftovers. Sounds like a physician, actually. He'd been contacted by Arsenal Engines. They knew he had a line on cadavers and they were interested in getting some themselves. There was a problem, though. There weren't enough to go around? Exactly. Interesting. Physicians' colleges have a hard time getting enough cadavers for doctors to learn with. Private research tends to have less in the way of legitimacy, and that makes it all the harder to get the resources needed. So where did you come in? Like I said, I was the best. He needed someone who could reliably deliver the ones who didn't make it. He sighs heavily. I grew up in the West End, you know. I didn't have much apart from gumption. The money was good, and nobody minds a dead drifter going missing once in a while. So I helped the man out. Whenever I had extras no one would miss, I made a delivery. Surely there's no way for this sordid story to take a turn for the worse. It still wasn't enough, though. Arsenal needed industrial numbers. So we took to retrieving some that were already well and buried. You robbed graves? I'd hardly call it robbing. Paupers, drifters, men like me. They weren't buried with riches, and nobody was coming back to check the grave on All Souls. Easy to wave it away when it's nobody you know. For a while it seemed like we were filling the quota, but people just weren't dying fast enough. And despite what you might have heard about ambulance drivers, we're not out there killing for a payday. The last straw was the graveyard outside Sacred Heart. Word was we had permission. But those kids, those poor kids. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror after. So next day I enlisted. Oh, really, Dragon? That's funny. I'm looking into a disappearance from Sacred Heart. Not just out of the ground, but a live resident. Were you involved in that? What? God, no. I'd never harm a child. I haven't worked for Arsenal in a quarter century, and even when I did, I'd have never done that. If you say so, Glenn. But the fact remains that children went missing. I've never had any part in it, but... He seems shaken. If kids went missing, maybe you should check at Arsenal. I can't say I know they were doing any such thing, but it did surprise me when the prior at Sacred Heart just let us raid the cemetery. If he was in Arsenal's pocket, God knows what else they were up to. I just might do that. Thank you for your help, Glenn. I hope you find what you're looking for. See you later, Glenn. Very interesting. Okay. So... visit to one of their warehouses, huh? Well, I think we have a warehouse right down here for Arsenal. If I'm not mistaken. Sorry to bother you, Dante, but I was hoping you could help me with something. Squared, then the derivative is... Mr. Ziegler? Damn it, I lost the equation of your interruptions. This better be important. Sorry about that. I know what it's like to lose my train of thought in the middle of something. Well, get to it, man. What do you want? Do you work for Arsenal Engines? I do. I'm a fairly recent acquisition. Pardon me for the intrusion on your time, but I find myself at a bit of an impasse when it comes to an event from my distant history. Let me take you back to the beginning. I was but a lad of 13 when I struck out upon... Faster. I don't know what you didn't understand when I said I was busy. Ah. Well, I'm looking into some shady dealings our employer was engaged in 23 years ago. I'd like to get inside the warehouse and take a look around. Think you could help me with that? Dante frowns, but he doesn't seem surprised. No, I can't help you with that. People who happen to wander by aren't generally given access to Arsenal's warehouses, and I'm not going to risk my neck making an exception in your case. Fine, fine. Just for the record, though, do you happen to know anything about Arsenal Engines kidnapping live subjects to use in, I don't know, experiments? Can't say as I do, but as I said, I'm a new hire. They're not going to go telling me all their deepest, darkest secrets after a few weeks. Hell, why do you think I'm out here on the wharf? They won't even let me wander around inside unsupervised. Damn, if only it had been that easy. The engineer's brow furrows, and he purses his lips for a moment before continuing. But you know, I actually do know someone who must have seen every square inch of this warehouse, and he's been around here for decades, from my understanding. Who would that be? His name is Pavel Gerard, a rat catcher and a strange fellow running a business out of Soros Square. He's been at it for, well, roughly forever now. He was in our warehouse a few days ago making the rounds, and I gather he's made a monthly visit for the last 30-odd years. 30 years of rats. What a life. Thanks for the help, Dante. I'll be off then. Okay. Now we find the rat catcher. No. Now we're cooking with gas. Is he gone? What a sorry sight. All of them stuck in cages awaiting some unknown fate or another. It's the same price for drinks at the Palladium. Ratcatcher's not around. I guess he doesn't bother to look anything up. Who'd want to steal any ruddy rats? Somebody in the rat baiting business, but I expect this ratcatcher is respected enough for immunity from brigands and ne'er-do-wells. He's indeed a rare bird. Not many on London streets possess such a luxury. How the ratcatcher can sleep without being bothered by the squeaking of rodents is beyond me. But the straw tick looks comfortable at least. It's a fine place to sleep, as long as hygienic standards aren't high. Seems like our rat-catching friend has a fine taste for rodents as well as libations. Smell of alcohol so potent you could get shicker just by poking around in here. Hades, just smelling the pot's enough to make my stomach growl. Potato soup, most likely. I recall being served such a dish back at the orphanage. Perhaps taking care of animals can make one swear off meat. Aside from a few books, writing implements, and scraps of paper, there's not much to be found here. But I could open the drawer and see what lies within. No, I'm not going to steal this stuff. London sewers. Home to the rats and the rat catcher, apparently. Well, crap. I have to find the rat catcher. Where is the rat catcher? Where is the rat catcher? Where is the rat catcher? Where is that rat catcher? I mean, I don't know if I want to explore every single area. Just making sure. Well, all right, I'll go back to the docks. Not sure if I'm going to be able to find what that is, because I don't want to actually look through all of London just to find the rat catcher. Oh. Head back to the garret. Okay, okay. I kind of missed that. Let me do that first. Garret, book, Nandy. Just a puddle. Let me get the book from the garret. Even in the dingy dark of your garret, coming home is a certain appeal. Despite the rundown condition, it's a space you've gotten used to. Anyway, it contains every possession I have. 71% chance? Nice. These things belong to me. There's a bookcase, a wardrobe that's always getting stuck, and a writing desk I salvaged from an office fire. Gas lamps flicker up from the street, etching spidery shadows in the rafters. The peeling wood floor is slashed with moonlight from the only window. A round, dusty affair. Okay. Okay. So now I bring this back to Nandy's shop. Nandy's laboratory. Give her the book and be like, hey, do you know where the rat catcher is? Because I'd really love to know. Here you go, Nandy. This is the book I wanted to show you. She takes the book carefully, interest clear on her face. Nandy knows much, but still she seems excited at the idea of untapped wisdom as she flips through the pages. The Minotaur's Assistant. Fascinating. It contains many spells and cantrips that only Minotaurs are capable of. Never crossed my mind to take a look at that one. Told you you'd be surprised. If you don't have a strong attachment to this book, I'd like to purchase it from you. It would be invaluable to my collection. It's not much use to me anymore. I'd be glad to have it find a new home here. Then it is settled. Here's little and something in exchange for the book. Ah, the grease. Okay. Okay, docs time. This probably isn't going to go over well, but I'll try anyway. There's Helena still gazing out at nothing. Ooh, the rat catcher. Look at this Gonoff. Bloody awful what an excessive crime and alcohol does to a man. But I don't know him yet. Perhaps he's only guilty of a lack of restraint. Oh there, my good fellow. Stop and have a drink with us. My name's Pavel Gerard, and this is Annika. Is that Ratchgacher whose place I went by earlier? Atticus Daly at your service. What brings you two here during working hours? I'm always at work, my friend, for the clockwork of this clever mind never stops. But we stopped in today for a little splash on the way to a party. A mummy unwrapping, if you can believe it, at Braxton Manor. I'd ask you along, but it's invite only. I can see how that might present a problem. A smart cove don't need an invitation. See what a firecracker she is? I shall be escorting you, Annika, to the manor, though only as far as the dooryard. It's Annika Johansson to you. Better know the name, because I'm going to be famous. Firecracker indeed. Interesting. I've been searching for my mother, and as now the breadcrumbs are leading me to Braxton Manor as well. What lures you to this mummy-bothering soiree, Annika? I've reason to believe my two missing friends were kidnapped by Molly O'Malley. I don't know every detail of her scheme, but Molly will be at Braxton Manor tonight, and if I'm right, Bertie and Julie as well. The more I learn of Molly's business, the less I like. Listen, I'd feel better if I had someone strong backing me up tonight, someone who won't turn to pudding if a dockhound throws him a sneer. Since you're going to the manor as well, perhaps we could help each other. Yes, I like that idea. Tell me what you had in mind. Let's table the detail for now. This little chap might have already drawn some glances. And it's better that the three of us aren't seen together here in town. Right. Atticus, look for us in the ferry landing in Braxton County this evening. We'll proceed from there. Very well. Thank you, Atticus. You're a better gentleman than many born to the title. That's a nice sentiment, but don't get cocky. It's going to get rocky. You're going to make it known, you know, you shocky know. Classic lines from Parappa the Rabbit-Chat. Okay, I've heard around town you have a bit of a sweetheart deal with Arsenal Engines, sole pest controller for decades. I do indeed, sir. And why would they go with anyone else? I'm the finest rat catcher in London. So it's true. With any luck, this man can shed some light on what happened so long ago. And you've been in and out of Arsenal's warehouses all that time? Of course. Have to keep the little one out of the gears and pistons, you know. 93%. Are you kidding me? Maybe this is a dead end, but if I can't get Pavel to open up to me, who can I ask? He's my last chance to find out what happened to Leo. Come on, man, I have a 94% chance. I apologize for our misunderstanding earlier. Rats are, of course, remarkably noble creatures who should be celebrated. I really was just hoping to hear more about the excellent services you provided to Arsenal that kept you in their good graces for so long. I can see I had you all wrong, sir. Yes, I've had a good relationship with Arsenal over the years. They haven't heard a squeak in a quarter century. Well, apart from 1 year, awful lot of squeaking then. And what happened that year? Oh, I don't think you'd believe it, sir. Try me. If you'd believe it, there was some sort of plague that year. Arsenal tried to help with the cleanup efforts, and their warehouses were just packed with bodies. Now, hang on, I don't remember no plague. She might be too young, but I don't remember it either. I was working double duty just to keep it all contained. The little nibblers were everywhere. Arsenal Engines had warehouses full of corpses? Oh, aye, sir. Packed to the brim with bodies they were. More's to their credit, though, they kept it all well controlled. With a bit of my help, might I add. He pauses for a moment, lost in thought. Doesn't sound like much of a plague, then, does it? Anyway, the plague didn't kill anyone important. Seemed like it only affected those of low station. Yeah, I'll bet this is completely what happened. Drifters, dollies, orphans, you know the type. Probably had something to do with poor personal hygiene. A rat scurries out of his coat and into his shirt collar. Orphans? You say there were orphans? Yes, sir. Well, children of a particularly rough sort of dress. There's always orphans. You think you'd remember any specific bodies if I describe what they looked like? Huh? What's your interest in this? I'm looking into a friend who went missing around that time. I'm worried he might have caught this plague you mentioned. Ah, of course. Here I was worried you were with Big Squill. Always coming around asking me questions, trying to get me to buy their solutions. Would you believe they sent an agent just today? Aye, pretty young thing I'd been courting. She walks into my shop today with a bouquet of wildflowers. Right in the middle of them, a purple squill. I knew then she was one of them. They'll stop at nothing, these ne'er-do-wells. That's rubbish. Who'd bring flowers to an old sod like you? Back on the subject of my old friend. Ah, yes. Well, I'm afraid I haven't much of a talent for faces, Governor. What was his name? Leo Longo. Why would that help? Oh, well, you see, when they brought the bodies in, they each had a toe tag. Names or at least nicknames on each one. Watched them removed, thrown in a wastebasket. I was taking out the rubbish anyway. It felt like a shame to have those folks' names just tossed out like that. So I kept them. He still has the toe tags for corpses from a warehouse he cleaned 23 years ago? Something odd about this man. Got him right here somewhere. Always try to keep all my paper on me. Little scraps never last long around my friends, you see. Always end up as even littler scraps. Pavel twists dramatically to reach into his jacket and produces a bag brimming with bits of paper. He rifles through it as though it were a well-organized filing cabinet. LaVey, Lincoln, long toe. Must have been a whole lot of toe to hang that tag on. Longo, Leonardo. There he is. He's holding a small paper tag looped around his finger by a bit of string. There's Leo's name, plain as day. So that's it then. Taken by Arsenal because of a plague. It could have just as easily have been me if I hadn't gotten out when I did. That's his name, all right. I guess his body ended up in an Arsenal warehouse after all. Well, sir, this has been a delightful distraction, sir. But I need to get back to preparing for tonight if you don't mind. That's it then. Leo was taken by Arsenal engines in cooperation with Father Franco and the Sons of Caruso, whoever they are. Should I run into Franco or Silas Bragg, they should be able to give me answers. May never happen, but at least I know where he went. Maybe I should drop by Leo's memorial outside the orphanage. All right, then I'll see you both at the manor later on. Count on it. Looking forward to some mayhem. Okay. Grr. Hello, dog. Hey there, boy. Crows on the cross, so I despise this woman. Atticus, don't you recall what Molly's done to you? Cavorting with criminals brings nothing but trouble. Didn't I just say I wanted nothing to do with her? Blast, that ruddy crone's almost as bad as Molly. Atticus, are you all right? Yes, but of course. You seem a bit preoccupied. Any road, good of you to come. I understand there's an opportunity for me to expunge my debt. Yes, unfortunately I need your services one last time, and then you can sunset as you please among a vast pile of gin bottles and opium. The dread penetrates down to my bones. As you might have already known, Miss Clara Reed was the very thief who stole your winnings last night. But I wouldn't get too nasty with her because I had the tables rigged for you to win in the first place. If you ever want to see that money again and hear me out, it's going to end up working in my favor. Better play along until I know what Molly's up to. Then at the right moment I can turn the tables. I need you to dash over to Braxton Manor. Take the ferry to Braxton Village and you can't miss it. Good thing I'm already headed to the manor. And catch the ferry at the wharf. It'll be on the docks just across from the tavern. A man called Fullyvole is something of mine. You'll find him at the basement laboratory at the manor. He's been spending a lot of time there lately. Now am I supposed to separate this fellow from your property? Come, come, we both know you're an old hand at this. Talk some sense into the fellow, and if necessary, kick it into him. How much blood have I spilled over the years trying to stay out of my debts, and somehow always failing? Am I fetching for you? It's not money, I take it. Don't go muddle your head before the fun starts. Fullyvole will know what you're after when you arrive, and it's nothing you can smoke or ingest, mind. I'll do what I have to. Don't look so glum. This time tomorrow you'll be a free Minotaur. Or as free as you've ever been. Thanks, Moll, you're a sweetheart. Don't get cheeky or I'll have Sweet Cherry put a hole in your heart bigger than the one Ariana left. Jeez. How does she know about... but it's no matter, I've moved on. Eat dirt, Miss Molly, and try not to break a tooth on the gravel. It's a shame you don't channel that anger into something productive. Nice. Success. How's business going otherwise? Smoothly. I happen to run a few distilleries in the underground. Obviously, telling you about it doesn't do justice to the final product. The final product being... Okay. You have a bottle. The cove I have running the operation isn't the sharpest tool in the woodshed, but he's mostly by the book. My book, that is. Molly, you're well informed in the East End. What do you know about the orphans kidnapped from the Sacred Heart? Kidnapped? What an imagination you have. Why don't even go to the trouble of snatching a ragamuffin when you can buy a week's work from one of them for a shilling? Besides, orphans run off all the time. All true, but the evidence points to an abduction and some undoubtedly sinister fate for these particular children. Well, all right, your missing little friends may have something to do with that job we've been discussing. Do you mean they could be at the manor? Never said that. Those orphans are indirectly related, if related at all. Either I was born hornless or those ragamuffins are at the manor. So at least that's something to go off of. Quit dawdling, Daly. What else do you need? As if it were highlighted? Well, I paid to have it glossaried. Here we are in the Crimson Herring Tavern, after all. Molly gets whatever she wants from the higher-ups. Molly, Molly, Molly. Every time someone says it, my notoriety gets a boost. It's rather flash. Could I get my name that way as well? You're not important enough. Who knows if you'll survive the evening? It's one hell of a dog you have there, Molly. Hell's a good way to put it. He's a cross between a black dog and a hellhound. What's his name? Atticus? What? I'm taking the mickey. His name's Hercules. Got him a couple years back at a demon dog show. God knows what a run fun those are. Well, she's not wrong there. I love seeing a Pomeranian go right up in smoke. Any road, I saw this fellow make his way through all the obstacles without meeting a beat. A bunch of muckety-mucks were there, including Silas Bragg. He's a fan of these rare beauties, too. Okay. It's a fine thing to watch, a beast who obeys their master without hesitation. Unlike a lot of folks who work for yours truly. I can attest to that. Many, many times I've quit on a job for Molly when it became too damn brutal. So I spoke to the owner. Some bloody cane rod wouldn't give him away. Sentimental attachment, he said. I have a feeling this is where Jemmy comes in. So I had Jemmy show him a whole new perspective, so to speak. Once that looks up at the daisies from 6 feet under. Now the dog's mine. Fascinating story. What's the dog trained for? Killing, of course. Other dogs, mostly. Although he's rather poor at rat baiting. Things are just too small to give him much interest. Molly sure likes the sound of her own voice, though. I get the feeling that I get the feeling that she's told this story many times. Alright, forget it. I'll see you, Molly. To sneak. Let's see, settle your debts. It's another. Okay. All right, now to take a look. What do we got? Still waiting on the Leo Lament thing. Leo's memorial outside Sacred Heart. Okay, Leo's memorial outside Sacred Heart. Okay. Okay. Sacred Heart. Right there. Let's go check it out. We're getting there. Zipping through stuff. Can't get there. Let's get that from here. Huh? Man. Fully understand what I'm doing there. This is Sacred Heart. Hold up, fellow. This orphanage, unfortunately, is the scene of a crime, and I've been tasked to guard this gate. That is unfortunate. What crime would that be, officer? Robin Ogilvy. It's none of your concern, actually. Now clear out. Buffoon. I guess I could go to the... Try to find that centaur who's hanging out with the woman in here. All right. Babcock. I don't think of where he is. I think he's in here. See if he is. Can I help you? If you're looking for the poorhouse, it's back in the other direction. Fellow's keeping a close watch on going around the square. Definitely not a copper, though, right? Good day to you. This is a secret keeper, actually, which I need. Good day to you, sir. I'm Atticus Daly. You seem like a fellow of some importance around here. How about an introduction? Yves Chalamant Duval. Some orphans went missing as of late. Can't imagine how the sisters are feeling right now. Perhaps they feel that they've failed their charges. That's it? Wow. Alright, that dude did not want to talk. A painter of portraits, if I had to guess, but with a single eye. To work without perspective must be tricky business. Art is an avenue of expression forever closed to me. I apprenticed to a stonemason once. Must have bashed my knuckles a dozen times in the day I lasted. Good day, madam. I'm Atticus Daly. I take it you're a painter? That I am, and one of the best in London. Tessica Lincoln is my name. I specialize in portraits, as you can see. Say, aren't you the one who decorated little Rob's cast? I am. I did in exchange for a week's supply of newspapers. Plucky little fellow. Your accent is unfamiliar. It's not any flavor of British that I know. That's because I'm not from England. I migrated from America not that long ago. Certain factions in that country make it difficult for a woman of my color and my number of eyes. I could say something similar about England. You have my sympathy. Thank you, I'm much obliged. Could you paint my portrait, Miss Lincoln? Yes, I believe so. The price is £3. Too dear for me just now, I'm afraid. Perhaps another time. Yes, well, I'm never hard to find. £3. It's like 3 times the amount of money I have. Once upon a time, the Luddites put up a stink about the industrialists polluting the landscape, poisoning the air, and mutilating and killing workers. It appears they were able to pressure the government into finding this hideous statue. Any other successes they may have had are unknown to me. I just realized that there's, I think, an alternate way of getting into the orphanage. I have to go back there. Well, Macaulay, what are you staring at? That's the same of you, sir. Admiring the spread of those horns, mate. Man would be fooled to tangle with a rat like that, lest he were paddling about in a Corvette. But what do you think of my wares? How about a peach? If you're looking for pomegranates, mangoes, and such, you can clear off. I don't deal in any of those sissified imports. Nothing but honest English produce. That's Gulliver Dawson's byword. Imagine so getting worked up about a pile of fruit, Lord save us. Yes, just pick me out a bag of something, a variety. I'm in need of healthy sustenance. Very smart, sir, leaving it up to me. You won't find any rotter flies in what I sell, unlike that tripe my double-dealing brother is hawking. Here you are. I know how siblings like to fight, at least as children, but what on earth has got you so hot about your brother? When we first came to London, we shared a tiny room in a ruined tenement. I'm a vegetarian, but my thrice-cursed brother is the sloppiest meat-eater I've seen. That steak he once ate was the last straw. That often seems to be the way with siblings. The fact you let him live after that shows you're a man of great restraint. Exactly my feelings on the matter. Here's one in the house. Nice. Gee, thanks, Mr. Dawson. Wish you the best. Okay. I'm still content. Alright, I have to see about Babcock first. So Babcock and then back to the orphanage. Back again, eh? Your brother went on quite a rant about your falling out, claimed you're a messy eater. Keep getting the voice wrong. And what if I am? Leastwise, I don't do it in public. I guess anything goes in one's private residence. That's Gulliver down to the ground, telling every Tom and Richard on the street about what's no more than a family affair gone haywire. Haywire, you say? The only thing I ever asked of that lettuce-eating cretin was to take good care of my darling Flora whilst I was away for a few months. And you know what he did? Killed 5 men in a rage. That heartless bastard let her die. She was just the prettiest little parlor palm you ever saw. It's my blood up just thinking on it. I'll never forgive him. Time to forgive him. You know, Mr. Dawson, I have no siblings of my own. That's why it pains me so to see you two at odds. Could you, for my sake, at least consider forgiving your brother? If you're willing, I could act as a go-between. Perhaps that is the Christian thing to do. Okay, if you raise the notion with Gulliver, I'm willing. Now make tracks. The dust you're kicking up is blown into me eyes. It was good to see you, but I better be on my way. All right. So now I get to reconcile these two brothers. I talked to your brother earlier. Told me he's willing to let bygones be bygones. What say you? That's so. Well, I admit I need some time to think about it. Perhaps I'll pay him a visit once I'm done with work for the day. All right. That's good. Orphanage. I think there's a secret entrance in this, a back door of some kind, to get into this orphanage, and that's what I want. Because then I can try to get in to, once I get into the orphanage, then I can look at the monument, which might finish up the Leo side quest. Oh, shoot. I thought there was a... Man, I thought there was a side route. See, I don't have intimidating. I don't have that, so I can't get rid of him. Alright. Well. Braxton Manor again. Okay. Ferry from the wharf to Braxton Manor. Okay, let's do it. Got some more side quests on Atticus so far than I've been able to do in the past. Oh, maybe it's farther south? What the heck? Take the ferry from the wharf, okay. Ah. Check with this guy quickly. Right, okay. All right. Okay. Suspense is terrible. I hope it will last. Chapter 13 complete. All right, Clara Reed, Chapter 14. Following up on a hint from Molly, you learn from Ivana that the courtesan killer's letter is a fake. Every clue is bringing you closer to the culprit, a feeling that is full of excitement and danger. You picked up your costume for the party at the manor, then embarked with Tenor and Iron Bear on the ferry. The manor moves with a life of its own. Lord Braxton has pulled strings to divert hydroelectric power from the nearest dam, making it the first English house to be wholly lit by water-spun turbines. Hasty liaisons of gentlemen and escorts creep down the rose garden path every night, Lord Braxton's love of soirees being unending. Also unending is Lord Braxton's desire to flaunt his status, with paper lanterns, bonfires, and even dirigibles gracing the manor's grounds and skies whenever special occasions unfold behind the manor's closed doors. This place is an ode to wealth and to detachment from the harsh realities of London life. Wow, what a cozy little estate! Particularly in this dreary rain, cozy is not how I would describe Braxton Manor, just up the hill from the ferry dock. Clara? Clara Reed? Piss off, you louts, out of my way. Well, what in the Sam Hill is all the racket? Clara, my dear, seems there's some poorhouse chap shouting for you. Clara Reed. And who might you be, lad? This is Atticus Daly, a customer of mine. Customer? Apologies, Clara Reed. I didn't know your normal fee was everything a man has, plus the bag it's in. Just my luck to run into him here. I heard of your run-in with Jemmy last night. Had one of my own, in fact. I know the winnings were part of Molly's ploy. All the same, perhaps an apology is in order. Yes, well, I suppose that might come some way towards settling things between us, though I can't say I enjoy being rooked while on the nod. That's quite fair. Now, Sweet Pea, if I follow this nice and clear, am I to understand that you hornswoggled this cowboy, in the most literal sense, mind you, as he slept? That's about the gist of it. Whew, ain't that a proper outlaw move? That's my Spitfire adventuress at work. Mr. Daly is practically fuming. Tenner's laughter fades, perhaps noticing he's crossed a line. What's that? A glint upon Atticus's belt tucks sloppily into the side. My Derringer, left behind last evening at the Rose. So that's where it's gotten to. Perhaps I could cook up a way to see it safely back into my hands. Apologies, Atticus. Really. Sure. Well, I'm glad that's settled, but Clara, we should get a move on. Miss Reed, before I forget, one last thing, though perhaps it doesn't matter much in the end. Yes? Well, I was the one who stumbled upon the body of your co-worker this morning, and I thought I should tell someone who might care. As it happens, I've been looking into the murders myself, and the information he has could be pertinent. Let's hear him out. What would you like to share? The body was a wreck, and the furniture was topsy-turvy as if it had been thrown about. I saw much the same in my own investigation. What struck me as odd, though, was the smell in the room, and I bet it had blown off by the time the coppers showed up. Particular smell? It smelled like perfume or incense, strong notes of bergamot and rose. Familiar enough in a bordello, but I thought I might mention it anyway. Bergamot and rose, most likely Four de Bulgarie. It's a quite popular scent, so I'm not sure it's much of a lead. 75% chance, let's go. There's only one person in the Rose who wears the scent, Madame Zora herself. Suspicious, to say the least. I should track her down post-haste. Thank you, Atticus. This information may yet prove useful. Good luck to you, then. I hope you catch the wretch and put a stop to these killings. Shall we take the coach? The rain is really coming down. Daly boy, you'll be catching the next one, eh? Not enough room for all of us. Sure, I'll wait for the next one. And see if I can't scare up a bottle of gin in the meantime. Safe travels, Atticus. Interesting. The fresh air makes a nice change from London. No offense, Miss Reed. None taken, Tenner. London is not my city, born nor raised. It's merely where I've spent the last few years. I'm glad to hear that, sweet pea. Quite glad. If you be so inclined, I'd love to treat you to the big blue skies of Texas someday. Not exactly subtle about it. Best enjoy what we have right now, wouldn't you say, Dove? You'd love it, Spitfire. I'd take you on a proper riverboat. None of those meandering steam mechanics. We'd take a gas-powered boat up the Mississippi. Now that's power for you. And I'm quite sure the freshness of the river does not suffer for it. Not that I have a leg to stand on after living with the miasma of the Thames. I've been making a killing selling to the Cajuns. We're working up a seaworthy version, you know. See if we can't get the Seminole Peninsula hooked. Perhaps the Zulu in time. I'm afraid I didn't venture very far south in my younger years. I have no small familiarity with the coast, Boston, Philadelphia, and the like. At this point, I'm more familiar with the south of Europe than the continent where I was born. Ah, what a travesty. You Americans are so insular. The Republic of Texas, oh, that's right. Because it's still not Texas, it's still not part of the U.S. then. The Republic of Texas would welcome you with open arms, Miss Reed, particularly with the gentleman entrepreneur of my caliber on your arm. His wink is so ostentatious as to be comical. I suspect this is how he charms all his marks, lowers their guard. My family was from Acadia. I recall precious little from the time prior to our move south when I was but a tyke. Not American then, not originally, though I take your meaning all the same. Well then, my friends, shall we make our grand entrance? Yes, let's head inside. Well, rest assured, this is not the last you've heard of the miracle of gasoline combustion. I'll have these highfalutin London types hooked soon enough. The manor is full of richly carpeted hallways and Egyptian statues on display for tonight's party. The windows are as high as single-story buildings, bathing every room in pale cobalt moonlight. Portraits of the Bragg family line the walls, painting every member in positive and irreproachable strokes. Some good writing in this. There really is. The house itself seems like a monument to opulence, reminding guests of the wealth and power of their host. Lord Silas Bragg was gifted the property when he earned his lordship, but due to tensions between the original owner and a string of uncooperative architects, the manor came together piecemeal over more than a decade of building. Lacking a unified structure, some staircases lead to dead ends. There are many empty door frames in the underground chambers, rumored to connect with a tunnel system leading back to London. What such a system would be used for is almost anyone's guess. Introducing Mr. Tanner Cunningham, visiting from the Republic of Texas, Mr. Cunningham's companion, Mr. Iron Bear of the Comanche, and Miss Clara Reed of London. Is that Lady Braxton? Is that Tony Braxton? I wonder if she's half as eccentric as her dear husband. Oh, Miss Reed, Mr. Tanner Iron Bear. Ooh, I like that. Well, welcome, friends. Welcome to Braxton Manor. Lady Braxton has been sampling the punch already, or else another strong drink. She's properly oiled up. Allow me point out some of the esteemed company you'll be keeping this evening. There's Sir Willard Rathbone, animal lover. He loves the furry deers a little too much, if you take my meaning. I dearly hope I don't. And Dr. Clancy Wainwright, a talented surgeon and pharmacologist, though one wonders how much of the drugs in his lab end up in the hands of his patients. Baseless accusation as far as I'm aware, though the good doctor has been known to play lab rat for himself time to time. Over there we have Sir Alfred Conan Boyle, author of escapist literature for the masses. Arthur Conan Boyle, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I suppose we should be thankful they can read it all. And Lady Annabella Bryan, the one with the famous father. Pity she never amounted to much herself. Is that all? Is the bloodbath over? She has quite the sharp tongue. Well, there are some of our more notable attendees. Oh, I'm getting dizzy. Is there anything I can get you? Self-service of the drinks just over there. Did I hear that this party is to feature an unwrapping? Oh, yes. We have several ancient artifacts from the time of the pharaohs, including, well, a stone, a few other things. Just look around and you'll see. But as you say, that's not even the best part. Yeah, I know, right? She sways in place a little, eyebrows raised, and waits for me to look appropriately anticipatory. We have a mummy! A real, genuine dead Egyptian mummy, and the climax of the evening will be the unwrapping of our desiccated guest. And then we can say Mummy and Daddy together. As she conveys this information, Lady Braxton's demeanor can only be described as gleeful. How intensely ghoulish, yet I must let it lie. May I ask, will Lord Braxton be making an appearance this evening? Silas is out tinkering in his workshop, the guest house in the back gardens, as is his wont. He's going to make a big announcement later on that all the guests simply must hear. Oh, I just can't wait to find out what it is. About that workshop in the guest house, do I detect a note of discontent, Lady Braxton? I'm not discontent. I simply don't care a whit for Silas's strange hobbies and inventions, nor do I understand everyone's endless fascination with steam. It's hot water, mist. Anyway, it is a wonderful excuse to throw a party. Thank you for the gracious welcome, your ladyship. Not at all. If you need anything, my servants will be glad to assist. And let me know if... when they get surly. Enjoy the party. Do let me know if you need anything. Well, glad those formalities are done with. Oh my, I do believe I spied the eccentric Mr. Rathbone over yonder. That's certainly a choice for the guest list. He's hardly one to talk. And I, by my lucky stars, is that Babbage himself? Oh no, my mistake. Quite the shrewd countenance on the old chap, though. You can't blame a man for seeing the resemblance. Ms. Reed, I've not known you to be a wallflower. Shall I assume you're off to socialize? Indeed. Have you any time to mingle on your own, or will you be keeping an eye on Tanner all evening? Why, Miss Barney, of course. I've always been such a fan of her work. There goes Tanner off to make his mark on the London elite. Ostensibly, it is my job to keep an eye on Cunningham, but clearly he finds himself occupied. I can find some time to myself while he's otherwise engaged. All right, Iron Bear, try to enjoy yourself. Same to you, Clara. That reminds me, I forgot to meet with Iron Bear at the tavern. Yeah, I did. And I won't be helping him collect those schematics, but something tells me he'll end up with them in any case. Any road, it's no matter. That's enough. There's enough on my plate as it is. Yeah, I completely forgot. Right, time to get the lay of the land in here. Yep, I forgot about that one. Somebody left out a book here. I found there's at least something worthwhile in just about anything published. If only I still had the spare time for reading that I had in my college days. The title reads, The Tale of the Stable Boy and the Lusty Milkmaid. Oh. I'm certain it has value in its own way. Let's just glance at a passage. See? Here the heroine is admiring the strength and posture of a horse and imagining how it must look to see it gallop. The next passage seems to be a treatise on animal husbandry. I hope. True. Perhaps not every book has value after all? Though I may not agree with the author's goals, the book's readers now doubtless have a better understanding of equine anatomy. It's important to remember there are chances to learn anywhere you look. Goodness. Ah, that's where the mummy is, huh? Wonder which is more valuable, the Braxton estate or this priceless relic. Pair of ancient Egyptians. Perhaps they were royalty, though royalty usually have fancier hats. Looks to be the work of an English mapmaker, seeing as the empire's many colonies are prominently marked. Silas wanted to go the extra mile. He could have had these victuals gold-plated. A collection of relatively cheap libations. Perhaps Silas reserves his more expensive bottles for himself. It's no surprise to see Sir Willard Rathbone here. Silas' penchant for audacious guests seems never to wane. I thought I might see you here, Mr. Rathbone. Silas always seems to collect those who are idiosyncratic at heart. Whether he genuinely sympathizes with their ideals or merely finds them amusing remains to be seen. Ah, Clara Reed, what a pleasant surprise. Wally here seems rather excited to see you again. Might I ask how you know Lord Braxton? Well, the upkeep and health of exotic animals vastly outweighs any profit they make in public venues. Lord Braxton is one of my more charitable patrons, you see. His financial aid keeps my humble zoo afloat and available to all, which tacitly makes you beholden to him. It seems death is not merely a reoccurring theme in the party, but in the news as well. What are your thoughts on the courtesan killer? Ugh, nasty business. Nasty business indeed. I trust you're referring to the killer's handiwork and not the unfortunate victims? Yes, oh dear, I didn't mean for my comment to come across as cruel. Now, well said, my boy. I may not agree with you and your fellow harlot's choice of work, but no person deserves to be slaughtered in so heinous a manner. Self-righteous tosser. My Wally can be quite the attack dog. If you ever feel your safety is compromised, perhaps you might borrow him and he'll trail behind you like a trained horse. Oh, that's quite for a small fee, of course. But of course. What are your thoughts on the theme of the ball and the main event? Ah, Egypt. I really must get back there sometime. You've been? Oh yes, it's home to my favorite exotic bird. I said my favorite bird, Wally. You're my favorite exotic animal, bar none. Yes, home to the African gray parrot. Isn't that a bird? They're so smart that they need only listen to a sentence once before they can repeat it perfectly. Fascinating. As for the unwrapping event, I don't expect much other than bones and dusts. That's what I found when I unwrapped a mummified cat during an expedition. I remember reading that somewhere, though it sounded so far-fetched. Did they mummify their pets so they might have their company in the afterlife? Fascinating. Not only company, but protection, too. Wally, will you protect me when we cross over to the choir invisible? Oh, he's still sour about the favorite bird slip. Ta-ta for now. Enjoy the rest of the party, Mr. Rathbone. You as well, Miss Reed. Approaching the lady of the house is somewhat difficult. Not for any great crowd milling about her, but for the unsteadiness in her stance. It's of genuine concern whether she might suddenly topple if approached from the wrong angle and forced to turn in an unexpected direction. Oh, Maggie, come, girl. I need a refresh. Pardon me, I think you've mistaken me for someone else. My name's Clara Reed. We met earlier this evening. Clara? What has Maggie gone off to? It's so hard to find good help. Pardon me, your ladyship, but would you know where I might find Zora Levick? Zora, you say? Yes, I think I saw her step out into the back gardens. The evening's quite gorgeous, after all. Gorgeous? Isn't it still raining? Oh, yes, but it's bound to stop at any moment, I'm sure of it. This is a fantastic mummy you have on display. Where might I ask did it come from? She blinks twice, slowly, trying to focus her eyes on me. Most unbecoming. Why, my dearest Clara, as you well know, my illustrious husband, when he's not working, whoring, or otherwise ignoring his matrimonial duties. She sways. Where was I? You're about to tell me where the mummy was procured. Ah, yes. My husband has many important connections, you know. Among them, Sir Flinders Petrie. Let's just say that when we require a mummy, we get one. I wonder if that sentence has ever been spoken before. And before you ask, no, I do not put stock in those silly superstitions of a curse. Ghastly and depraved, not worthy of mention. She leans forward, eyes wide. It's very clear that she wishes to further discuss the curse in question. You mentioned a curse? Her whole face lights up. She's likely been waiting the entire evening to find someone to discuss this with. Oh yes, a most dreadful thing it is. Ladies of upstanding moral fiber should not concern themselves with such. She leans in conspiratorially. There's a distinct possibility she might fall given the angle. But just between you and I, there's a delicious rumor that this mummy's coffin had a warning on an Egyptian. All who violate my tomb shall be cursed forevermore. Cursed, can you imagine? I can, in fact. I knew a priestess of Hecate who was skilled in such things, but it's best to let her have her fun. Scandalous. And that very mummy here at the party, are we all cursed then? Oh, could you imagine? Someone might get injured, or catch a light. Her balance teeters and she almost stumbles into a nearby candle stand. You know anything else about the curse? Has anyone involved in the mummy's excavation encountered bad luck? Lady Braxton makes as if to whisper, only she forgets to lower her voice. Keep this just between us, ladies, but I hear the ship carrying the mummy here was lost at sea, with the whole crew and all their cargo. That's terrible, all those drowned men. Thankfully, the mummy was recovered despite the setback. What an awful ordeal. Does make for quite the story, though. Oh yes, the captain told me so as much. Would you believe it, he floated to shore clutching tightly to the casket? Did he now? Showed me the payout from the Royal Exchange and everything. Naturally, given his bravery, I paid extra upon delivery. Let it not be said that I am heartless. An extra cost and a captain transporting contraband goods. Sounds like somebody I know. Indeed. Green Street. Likely a coincidence, but even so I might want to ask him about it. I wonder what's more difficult to acquire in London, the forgery of passports or of insurance claims. Regardless, best to leave it be. She seems content with the story she's gotten out of it. Thank you for your time, Lady Braxton. Charmed, I am sure. If Zora is involved in the murders, I'll have to confront her. If I leave the party, I may not have the opportunity to come back. Alright, so I gotta talk to these other people first. But the saints, it's Dr. Wainwright, the one Ivana interviewed by way of my assistance. He looks upset, glancing around as if to find someone to unload his worries upon. Hello, I'm Dr. Clancy Wainwright. It's a pleasure to meet you. Your reputation precedes you, Doctor. Clara Reed, and the pleasure is mine. How lovely to meet a lady of culture here. One would think there might be one among the crowd, but until now I found myself rather disappointed. He seems particularly perturbed. Perhaps he needs another drink? What do you think of the theme, Egypt and mummies and whatnot? You know, I haven't given it a lot of thought, Miss Reed. I have too much on my mind. But as far as the mummy goes, I suppose something that old isn't likely to carry anything catching. Or at least I hope not. Just a second to go check on my cat over there. Be right back. Okay. Not even an ancient flesh-withering curse? Whew, thank you for that. I needed a good laugh tonight. No, of the many maladies I've come across in my profession, a pharaoh's curse isn't among them. Tell me, Doctor, have you spoken to a woman called Ivana Orsini of late? Ivana said the meeting went well. I wonder if the good Dr. Wainwright feels the same. What? How do you know about that? Oh, Ivana's a good friend of mine. She and I go way back. Be that as it may, Ms. Reed, whatever she told you was confidential, and she was speaking quite out of turn. Come on, open up. 81% chance. Let's go. You should know that I also often frequent the Palladium, Dr. Wainwright. I hear many things. Is that so? I did think your voice sounded familiar. I'm becoming far too well known in London. Well, since it seems there's no sense in hiding it, yes, I spoke with the woman in question. She climbed right through the window, in fact, of the establishment we patronize. Hard to admit to being ambushed in a brothel. Showcasing a level of dexterity usually only seen in lichens, it must be said, which makes a fellow wonder. Lichens, you say? Interesting. I wonder if she might have been the one... She could have been the one involved in killing and they just put it on Sykes. It was a werewolf, but not him. Maybe. Any road, the interview did go as well as could be expected in the end. I don't mind a bit of good journalism, and I do like to share what I'm working on, when not confidential, of course. Of course, I shall refrain from pressing further. Much obliged, Ms. Reed. But I am going to ask you, you seem distressed. Is there something wrong? Why, yes, in fact, there is indeed something wrong. Go ahead, doctor, I'm listening. You see, I'm the chief physician of the Bethnal House Sanitarium, and a most unfortunate event has occurred. Or, rather, series of events. He takes a heavy breath as if it hurts him physically to think of the subject. Well, to put it simply, a number of my wards have been transferred. Isn't that common? For patients to go to other institutions for specialty treatment? Yes, it does happen, but none of these transfers occurred under my approval. In fact, I was not consulted at all, and I'm the general director. That's terrible. Where did they go? Forgive my bluntness, but I suspect my own associate board member at Bethnal House and our host here tonight may have had a hand in the transfers. You mean Lord Braxton? No, he means the other one. Doctor nods patiently, clearly feeling better having shared his concerns. Naturally, when Lord Braxton extended an invitation to his soiree, I decided to attend so that I might speak to him directly. What was his explanation? He has thus far evaded me. He will answer my questions before the night is done, however, be sure of that. Well, best of luck with that, Doctor. Seems Silas is quite popular tonight. It's been nice speaking with you, Dr. Wainwright, but I must be going now. Of course, Ms. Reed. Best of luck in your endeavors. Lovely to see you, Ginger Cake. And you, Tessica dear. How did you get an invitation? I've painted the Lady Braxton many times. You wouldn't believe the closet full of dresses that woman has. So Lord Braxton invited me, and I thought to myself, why not? But did you know that there'd be a mummy on display? I can't say I read the invitation closely. To be clear, I don't condone this sort of thing at all, but here we are, and there's not another ferry back to London until much later. Besides, if Lord Braxton is buying her work, then it pays Miss Lincoln to stay a while. And of course you're here with Tenor. He must be loving the chance to rub shoulders with a London elite. How do you like the party? It's all the better for seeing you. The feeling is quite mutual. This lot of blue bloods don't know how to throw a proper bash. Not like back at home. Indeed not, with the 400 carrying on like it's their God-given mission. Ironic, isn't it, that America should fight for independence only to establish their own nobility? I'd never thought of it that way, but you're correct, of course. Very astute, Clara. I had word about the Lancasters, you know. Apparently they've heard that I'm in London and they placed a bounty on my head. Saints, Clara, really? Why didn't you tell me? And to think that that violent lout of a husband is trying to haunt you from the grave. Gilbert may have been a violent man, but I had the last laugh in that regard, did I not? Poison was a kindness for a man like that. There were always worse ways it could have been done. I'm not overly concerned with the Lancasters. I'm sure I'll find some way to deal with them. I should hope so. Do be careful, Clara. I know full well the sort of devil-may-care life you've led, but I worry all the same. I've lost those I care for in the past. I'd not like to do so again. Do you think of your husband often? Not as much as I used to, though of course I will always miss him. Moving to London was indeed the distraction I'd hoped. As it was for me, at least for a time. It's nice to share a few words with Tessica, but I best be going now. Well, Tessica, I must be getting on, but it was good to speak with you. Always a pleasure. Whoa. If I had a book I treasured so much I'd climb a ladder for it, I'd keep it on the lower shelf. Great big block of stone, carved with ancient Egyptian figures. The range and quality of Egyptian artifacts in Silas's possession is truly staggering. This one is quite worn, however. That may be the god Horus on the left, but it's hard to be sure. Books mostly related to science, chemistry, and engineering, but also history, law, and a few of the classics. the secluded nature of their culture. Unlike the stalwart Minotaur, the towering Cyclops, or the clever Satyr, Nereids have remained isolationist. As Ovid writes of Iphis, or as Statius writes via the Achilleid, if it becomes Bacchus to trail a gold-embroidered robe behind him. Golden robe? How terribly gauche. Dionysus was saved by Thetis, and in some traditions his foster mother was made a goddess of the sea upon her death. Indeed, we might also look toward Bacchanalian tradition. We may yet see within our lifetime the utilization of divine providence. It is our duty to harness this elevation to the status of divinity for our own purposes. To control the force of documented miracles and the creation of new gods, that we may have that power for ourselves. Full moons draw rowdy crowds in Blue Slavia. Such traditions reach back long before our modern incarnations of moon creams or other medical treatments. Dr. Smith, Victoria English, reports a rather festival-like atmosphere as people transmute into wolves, hunt down wildlife, and run freely through the woods. Dear, such chaos. The government and infrastructure of Bruslavia evolved with lycanthropes in mind, and so national infrastructure and precautions reflect this fact. Dr. Smith, Victoria English, of course, reports being rightly terrified by such barbarity. And from that great storm that divided the Mediterranean only decades ago, it is known that the Phaliki Eteria utilized not only the power of Zeus, but that of Poseidon. Doesn't seem right. Weren't Zeus and Poseidon bitter rivals? Would they both have helped the same people? The Phaliki restored that great temple of Zeus, elevating it to its perch atop Mount Olympus once more, wherein steam airships often docked. And of course, we must discuss the matter of the irrepressible Lord Byron. Found the wallflower. This one's unlikely to move from his spot by his own volition. For all his technological breakthroughs, Silas still seems rather fond of using time-tested heat sources. Oh my, here's a piece I wouldn't mind having for my own. Now all I need is a ballroom to go with it. Okay. That's it, he's clammed up. Now I'll never get the damned thing. A granite lion in its natural habitat, estates where wonders of the world are flaunted. A neat desk speaks of an ordered mind. Mr. Reed, Ms. Reed, hope you're having a pleasant time. Now that you've had a while to take it all in, what do you think of the party? It is very different from any celebration I've seen at home, even unsettling. The guests seem uncomfortable, anxious, except those who have indulged too much in drink. They behave like fools. Very astute. You have a keen eye for people. Have you taken a look at the mummy yet? I have not, nor do I intend to. Only a madman would disturb the dead's rest. I understand that these people worship science above nature or tradition, but my heart tells me there must be consequences. It's gruesome enough, I'll grant you that. I have seen gruesome, Miss Reed. This is... He waves a hand vaguely lost for words. It seems he's done talking. Don't mind me, Spitfire. Just taking in Lord Braxton's mighty fine estate. Lord Almighty, who wouldn't want to live inside this humble little abode? If this estate is humble, then I'm the Queen's lady in waiting. You seem to be enjoying yourself. Miss Reed, if there's one place Tender Cunningham will shine, it's at a party. And what a party! People from all over the world, these strange artifacts from ancient Egypt, and... An idea strikes him. For a brief instant, he looks like an awestruck child. I'd almost forgotten the best part. My stomach's all aflutter about the guest of honor. Can't wait for them to unwrap that old-time luminary. Did you drum up any new business? Young lady, if I thought to bring my deeds and papers with me, I'd already be richer by about £1,000. But the prospects are promising nonetheless. Talk of a mummy's curse doesn't bother you? No, ma'am, just some fairy tale English nonsense. Right superstitious sort of folk, if you ask me. Now, I've seen saints and magic men do some miraculous things, but dead mummy magic? Hogwash, my dear. Oh? Why, I bet this wrapped-up fellow was just a palace scribe, or even some so-and-so off the street. Leastways, that's what I gather from what I know of the mummy trade. Who's out there tabulating curses for the everyman? That is a surprisingly sensible view of it, at least as far as curses go. Well, keep at it then. Persistence is the key, and men like you never seem to run out of that. I beg your pardon. That sounded like a barb, and I do believe that's just what you intended. You wound me, Spitfire. To my surprise, the man does seem chagrined by my joke, and an emotion I had not thought him capable of. Then he grins like a jackass and brays like one too. Not to worry, Spitfire, just pulling your leg. You know I'm like a rock in the red Texas sun. Couldn't burn me if you tried. Well, Dove, I suppose I'll leave you to it. All right, Spitfire, go make the rounds. Don't worry about me. I'm just fine right here. Is there something I can help you with? I'm looking for another guest. I wonder if you might help me find Zora Levitch. Yes, the woman in the lovely black dress. I believe she ventured in the Black Gardens for a bit of fresh air. Thank you. Pleasure, ma'am. Okay. Oh, back gardens. I got what I needed. I guess you're just what I needed. Okay. There's Zora. I better speak to her while I have the chance. This may go well. Hey, I smelled your perfume in that room. Clara, I was sure we'd run into each other. Madame Zora, may I have a moment of your time? Whatever it is, she'll have to wait. I must return inside. I'm afraid it can't wait. It's imperative that I speak with you. Now's not a good time. I'm quite busy. I need to speak with you about Ivana Orsini. The mention of Ivana's name appears to have piqued her interest. Her brows knit with uncertainty, her eyes darting about to see if anyone overheard us. Have you any idea where Ivana is right now? Somehow Ivana Orsini is the key to all of this. In truth, I had planned to meet her here. Surely you won't mind if I tag along. Perhaps the three of us could have a discussion? No, Ms. Reed, I'm afraid that's out of the question. Then perhaps you could speak with me before she arrives. Very well, Ms. Reed. What would you have of me? I suspect Ivana's involvement in the case of the courtesan killer. Do you indeed? She used the case to sell her papers. I know not how it started. Perhaps an accident. Then she realized she could use the continued sensationalism of the courtesan killer murders to sell her papers. An interesting accusation, Clara, but a conclusion I've recently come to myself. Quite sorry to have kept it from you, but the shock of it just to sell papers. She looked suddenly off to the side. Hello, Zora. Ms. Reed? Good heavens, is that Ivana? Ivana, how on earth did you get... I was just about to come speak with you. The personable Zora I spoke with is gone, her haughty professional demeanor returning with haste. You know, being a journalist has its advantages. The opulently wealthy do love fluff pieces on their events. Ivana seems in quite the hurry, tension evident in her every step. It's hard to see in the half-light, but... Clara, I'm sorry to pull Zora away, but she and I have matters to discuss. There's a lupine hunch to her shoulders, and no one could ignore the fur patches on her face. A partial transformation? Then it's true. Ivana's a werewolf. I wasn't sure if Zora was responsible for this. If they had... I don't know, but I'd prefer to come along. Madame Zora and I were just discussing... I assure you the privacy is not for me, but for Zora. Unless you would prefer to have this discussion in front of Ms. Reed. Very well, Ivy. Leave the way. You will wait here if you have any understanding of what's good for you or any regard for the safety of your person. I need to speak with Ivana alone. Now goodbye, Miss Reed. Enjoy the rest of the party in her stead, won't you? Regardless of the killer's true identity, these two are vital players in my imagination. She may also be that. Can't allow them to waltz off into the night. I can still catch up if I make haste. I don't know. I still think that Zora may be it. The man who can dominate a London dinner table can dominate the world. In dogged pursuit of clues to your mother's fate, you followed the breadcrumbs out of London to Braxton Manor, the estate of Lord Silas Bragg, owner of Arsenal Engines and one of the rare few Cyclopses to ever have a lordship. Soon you will tie up the ends of this tale, whatever the outcome. What a mess this day's been, but at least Clara Reed did apologize. She can't be all bad. In any case, Clara said she's investigating the murders. I suppose I've done my part by telling her what I saw this morning. I don't imagine there's much else I can do about it either. Besides, I've got enough on my plate as it is. May as well head for the manor, at least I'll be out of the rain. Still not sure. It could very well be Zora. The only one I'm sure that it's not is Sykes. Atticus, are you in or are you out? I'm in, shall we? Allow Anakin and me to go on ahead. The three of us together are more likely to draw unwanted attention. When you arrive at the manor, take the side path around the back. We'll meet you at the kennels. Certainly feels like we're about to step into the lion's den. Light in the dark, one small symbol of hope in this rum rigmarole. Okay. Figured I'd grab a few extra coins. Atticus needs it, you know. Side passage, they said. All right. Here I am. See how they're like Atticus Daily, human about town. Looks like there's a path here cutting through the brambles. Let's cut through. Whoa, who's this dandy that wandered out from the party? Wait a minute. It's Atticus. You didn't think you could fool us, did you? Before I can get a word in, my illusion wears off. Bloody crow, it really doesn't last long under scrutiny. Glad to see you made it. You still want to sneak inside? Ready as I'll ever be. I guess I could have gone in as like an illusion. I could have gone in as the dandy and, you know, in the front door, but... Great, would have made our job much trickier otherwise. The door is just ahead. Attica will lead the way. Not coming along? No offense, but as someone with an actual invitation, I'd rather see what sort of hors d'oeuvres are available inside. Good luck. Okay. Okay. A palpable chill creeps up your legs from the flagstone floor as you reluctantly examine your surroundings. The trail has led you to the manor basement. A few scattered lamps feebly contest the shadows encroaching from every corner. Not a sound from the party upstairs can be heard, only a steady dripping from an unseen pipe. The expected damp and mildew cloaks some other undefined scent that somehow suggests suffering. The way on is dimmer still, but perking up your ears, you detect the tiny sounds of another living presence somewhere ahead. Looks like someone stashed away a whole party worth of wine down here, or one enterprising minotaur's worth. Not now, I need to keep my head clear. This might have been beautiful paintings, but the mold has got to them. Dumbwater delivers victuals between floors and perhaps materials of a certain sensitivity. We're on the right track, I can feel it. It's certainly grim enough down here. Ah, don't worry about it. Believe me, I've seen worse. Now that I've made it inside, I just need to find out where my mother's being held. Keep close, and if there's trouble, stay behind me. I can take care of myself. No doubt. Listen, I think there's someone in the next room. Fates, this brings back memories of the orphanage. I should back away. Okay. Whoa. Hello? Who is this oddball? Definitely someone unwholesome about him. I don't like him. There's something off about his face. Ah, yes, I see it. It's missing a fist in the middle. Good evening. Atticus Daly. I wasn't expecting any visitors until later, but my name is Eustace Fullival, and I'm sure... No one cares what your name is, you cretin. We're not dropping in for tea. My. Quite a violent temper you have, little moppet. We have the cure for that here if you're interested, Mr. Daly, or shall I say Atticus? I advise you to stick to the topic at hand, Fullival. I don't know if a beating would make you any uglier, but I don't mind finding out. Ha! Empty threats. You rustics amuse me to no end. I'll never understand why the upper crusters hate you so. Enough of your japes. I'm here to save my friends. Where are they? Friends? Friends? Why, I haven't the slightest notion, mon petit chat de guerie. Are they as vicious as you? Bertram and Julie, your mistress Molly had them kidnapped. I'm sure they're down here in this dungeon somewhere. That's scamp Bertie and wee Julie, boo. Well, why didn't you say so? Delightful creatures and so resilient. But whatever do you want with them? Here to set them free, you idiot. Yes, all right, and why is that? They're my friends. Oh, you're infuriating. That was nicely done. There's a blade in her hand and I never saw it appear. But anyone can procure an orphan child. I can hardly ride down Cable Street without trampling one. I still haven't heard a reason why I should surrender mine. Annika's right, it is him, the monster. And they've still got weeks of life in them yet. Maybe not little Julie Bull, though. I really don't see... Shut your gob. Wait, what has she done? Bloody crow, she's a knee-high murderer. That was unnecessarily brutal. You're still young, Annika, but you'll soon realize the violence you do to others will leave a mark on you as well. But you heard what he said. He's got Bertram and Julie chained up someplace in this horrible cellar. Would you have done any different? I believe I could have found a more humane solution than executing the man, yes. Anyway, let's find your friends. Bloody hell, is pallor mortis already set in? Or was he always that pale? That's pretty dark. Smells like flesh got burnt to a crisp in there lately. Turned to ashes, even. A fool's cap notebook full of chemical equations. Despite my usual intellectual prominence, I can't make heads or tails of this. Whoever scribbled this was either onto something or trying to while away the hours underground. I'll wager this device somehow powers the manor above. You go on ahead, Atticus. I need to take care of something. All right, I suppose. I swear, Atticus, you've arrived at last. Molly's well on the back foot now. Never seen her so flustered. Fullival was under her control the whole time, which means I was lured here. Right into a trap of some sort. Yes, I'm here. Someone arranged for a patient to be transferred to Braxton Manor from Bethnal House. What do you know about it? What do I know about Silas's weird surgical treatments? Very little. Nothing, in fact. Then tell me what you're doing here. I was invited to the party, of course. Not so unusual, is it? As it turns out, I was able to collect my property from Fullival, and since you came all this way, I decided to dissolve your debt to me, everything as of now. She's sweating, trembling. Have I ever seen Molly sweat? Well, she should tremble. Finally, I have her alone without any of her half-human thugs to protect her. I should be the one collecting a debt tonight. The blood debt. Thank you kindly. You may go now. I advise you be careful that our paths do not cross again. Ah, you may trust in that. I'm done with politics and high society. I'm going to collect Jemmy and return to the East End for good. I've had a bellyful of this madness. You never know. Molly's the type to change her mind at the drop of topper. A prisoner shackled to the wall. What a chamber of horrors this place is. Good sir, I'm not here to harm you. Might I ask your name? It's Sykes. You should back away. Crow's on the cross, he's a bloody werewolf. Luckily only partially transformed. But I see why there are chains around his wrist. Dangerous sort of playmate, a werewolf. Compassion's a virtue, but it only serves the living. Right, let's get you unchained. Thank you. They'd sure enough have killed me or let me transform and attack someone. Go, and Godspeed. I think that's the second time I freed that dude, but I did it with someone else, not Atticus, the first time. Ah, the orphans. So this is where Annika ran off to. Ah, Annika, glad to see you're safe and sound. Yes, and thank you so much. I'm not sure I could have done it on my own. If I'm not mistaken, these two younglings must be the O'Brien siblings. Oh, I can't put us down that easily, though some have tried. Thank goodness you're still with us. What about you, Atticus? Do you need our help now? Both brave and considerate. Some of the brightest flowers bloom in London's alleyways. More information never hurts. Can you tell me anything about this place, Bert? Who was holding you captive? Oh, Fullival was in charge down here. Matt is a badger in a trap at one, but it sounds like Annika's done him in already. Let's see. Is there anyone else down here? Yes, sir, now that you ask. There's some great hairy fellow they hauled into one of the other cells. They had a bit of a fight to do it, too. Not sure you'd want to meet him, even with the bars and all. Thought I heard growling earlier. I hoped it was my imagination. What did Fullival want with you? He kept injecting me with some stinky juice, told me it was for science. It looked like blood to me, which is really gross. But it sure did something, I'm telling you. He started hollering and laughing and jumping around. Yeah. First time I got the jab, all me scrapes and bruises disappeared. And I wish those dockhounds would come back. I'd beaten them bad. Fullival was too smart to open the cage then. How exactly did you two end up here? 2 dockhounds did it, sir. Bagged us on our way to the Sacred Heart. They was big, too. Biggest I ever saw. Nah, they weren't nothing special. One of 'em had metal hands. That was bold, snatching 2 orphans by daylight. Bold or plain dumb. These 2 weren't the brightest of flames, if I'm any judge. So Julie and me was walking home, her from the textile mill, me from doing odd jobs around town, and they jumped us. They were hiding behind a hedge. I got knocked down, but I popped right back up and said, if you's taking Julie, I'm going too. Camaraderie at its finest. They tied our hands and feet and tossed us into a grain sack, and then they took us away on a handcart. It hurt a lot. Yeah, it did. So that's that. Now here we are. Something's off about that story, but I can't put my finger on it. Wait a minute, that story doesn't sound right. It's what happened, crossed my heart. Try to remember. Ah, God bless America. Come on, I didn't want to fail on that one. How'd both of you fit on one handcart? Like the nuns are always telling us, calisthenics are important to the health of a child. I don't think that explains it, but it's probably not important. At this age, it's not uncommon for a child alive for the fun of it. I seem to recall a different story about them being napped from their beds in the night, but it's not worth arguing about. Man, I was just thinking that, Gregory. I sometimes get knocked down, but I get up again. No, you're never going to keep me down. Right, best hurry along. Will you be okay getting them out of here on your own, Annika? I can take care of myself now and Julie. But thanks and all for helping out. Don't want to sound ungrateful. Ooh, achievement unlocked. Complete the task missing orphans. You needn't worry about us. The 3 of us together are 3 times as dangerous. See you later, Atticus. We better get going. Look, I've been at the Sacred Heart and I've been out on the street. It's not an easy life either way. I was thinking, I've got some extra room in my place, and I could maybe put in some adoption papers, make it official. Oh, what's it like there? Did their eyes light up just now? Am I really doing this? Am I ready to adopt these children? It's just a little hole in the wall over a shop on Tenter Street. It's not much, but it's somewhere to hang your hats out of the rain. I might have to sweep and dust a bit and get a few cots, and there's a hole in the corner I should probably patch up, but yes, I can do this. Help someone else for a change. I might not be a replacement for their real parents, but I'll be as much of a father as I can be. That sounds awful. I'm sure we can do better. Oh, jeez. Shut up, kid. Thanks anyway, Atticus. See if you can get some fresh air soon. We've been down in this basement a while. Okay, perhaps I will. Stay safe and sound, punk kids. Ungrateful scallywags. It's all right. The garret is already close quarters, even for a single Minotaur. Man. Just gave me the brush off. Well, fine, kids. Good luck handling it on your own, then. Well, okay, the problem is... That's the manor. Don't see any obvious exit. So maybe that's the best I can do in this area. I don't know. Maybe that's the best I can do when I have to go around again. Okay. So, that must be the deal. Okay. Truth is rarely pure and never simple. We're on to chapter 16. Back to Teddy Redgrave. I was wondering when we were going to get back to his story. Molly's latest contract put a unique spin on werewolf hunting. She wanted a Mr. Sykes captured alive. The good news is that he remains among the living. The bad news is that he made a run for it. You tried chasing down Sykes and Jemmy only to get knocked out by the latter. Aha! Brocker's beard, am I seeing double? This is what I call the wages of mercy. Molly wanted Sykes delivered to Braxton Manor. I have to wonder if I've ended up there as well. I should have never allowed Sykes to escape, because after he fled the containment zone, tracking him down again put me face to face with Jemmy. After Jemmy knocked me out, he must have carted both me and Sykes to Braxton Manor, where I guess he tossed me into this cell. Wouldn't be surprised if Lord Braxton had a dungeon. No question about it, I'm in the basement of Braxton Manor. There's supposed to be a soiree here tonight. Bugger the soiree, I need to find Molly. She's the one who roped me into this bloody mess. Cell door is secured to this simple jailer's lock. Nothing I can't get past little effort. Never leave the workbench without my pocket bolt masher. Not since General Chang got the drop on me back in 45. I've already been down this way. All this for some light bulbs in the manor upstairs? No, this must be powering something else. No sense trying to unravel this mystery tonight. Perhaps when I've got more time to spare. God, is that full of oil? Looks like his throat was cut like a hog, and then most likely the wielder of the blade tipped him into this vat of acid. State of the body makes it hard to tell, but I'm almost certain that's full of oil. That mad bloke, what a way to go. Okay, so he's going out the back garden door. Whoop, wait a minute. Furnace first, and then he's going out the back garden door. Doubt it's used for heating purposes. Somebody set this crucifix aside either in disuse or disgust. Perhaps the head of household lost faith, or knowing blue bloods upgraded to a golden one. It's interesting to get different perspectives on the same exact spot. Likely used to deliver all manner of goods, food, tools, and even body parts, both mechanical and organic. There's black mold crawling all over the frames. No wonder nobody hangs them. Too dangerous to pick them up. How do you do? There's a sizable wine collection in here. I've heard the lady of the house is a bit of a problem. Though looking at these vintages, it's hard to blame her. Wait, what? I mean, I can't leave just yet. Haven't you just explored everywhere? Did I miss something? An empty cell, hardly of interest. Also, it doesn't look like Molly's around. That proves it then. I'm in the basement of Braxton Manor since Jemmy said Molly wanted Sykes brought here. I should head upstairs to continue my search then. Oops. Alright. Now I am going to go out. Okay. Might be able to get in as is, although I don't have a specific invitation. Teddy, I have successfully located you. Is it my imagination, or does Otto seem a bit jaunty? He's practically bouncing on his springs, point of fact. It's good to see you, Otto. Where have you been? I am also pleased that we are in proximity again. I recently learned that you might be in danger, so I made it my priority to come help you. Well, it's damn good of him to watch my back. I guess we're friends after all. I see, but how did you get here? I concealed myself on Lord Braxton's airship and recently disembarked at the back of an outbuilding in which something rather strange is most certainly going on. Amazing. It seems like the Determination Corps is paying dividends already. And there is more. On the way to this location, I spotted a large, intricate, and unusual device. I am curious to examine it more closely. Very interesting. That must be what all this hullabaloo is about, some sort of demo at the guest house. Shall we go then? Still got some things to do around here. All right, currently standing by until you're ready. Passage to kennels is denied. You may take the path to the guest house over to the right. If you were a guest. I am not able to discern if you were a guest. It's a black dog. Remember exterminating a few of those demons out in Bristol, close to a riverbank to boot. Black dogs are fond of remote watercourses and foggy nights. Easy for them to vanish and strike back later. That said, they can also act as protective spirits for families. Why can't they all be good puppers? Anything else, Otto? Oh. Okay, that might have been a mistake. Whoops. Okay. I misunderstood. I could have gone up there. I could have gone up and talked to those people. I didn't realize. Oh, well. We've arrived at the guest house unmolested and without hazard. No one in visual range. Current status hidden. This is a keen vantage point, Otto, I must say, though I didn't like that rickety ladder much. But we must not let our guard down. We are likely to encounter antagonists at this location. Probability high. More data needed. Hey now, old sport. Maybe it's just a barn where Lord Braxton has a workshop. Let's have a look before getting all worked up. Lady Braxton should be leading the guests into the back gardens any time now, that is, if she hasn't drowned herself in gin. Valuable data being broadcast, audio receptors at maximum. I wager I should rehearse my speech in the meantime. After all, first impressions matter. Clearly this man is full of himself, and that's before mentioning the hard experiment he's about to conduct on that lady down there. Dear friends, tonight for your enjoyment I present to you a creature of inestimable pity. Oh, that's Atticus's mom. This poor wretch, elderly and indigent, was kindly loaned to us by the Bethnal House facility. I extend my thanks to Dr. Wainwright, a man fearless in the pursuit of science. Science is indeed what is being pursued here. The subject is completely devoid of mental faculty, a vegetable husk, whatever humanity she once possessed, no more than a memory. Yet how fortuitous for her, for all of us, that she's been chosen for today's procedure. Reevaluating meaning of fortuitous fortune. For the first time, a cure is available for this woman's deplorable condition, not through the magic of ancient gods, but from the ingenuity of man. Fascinating how elegant words can so effectively cloak a terrible crime. With Arsenal Engine's technology, I shall restore the subject's enfeebled mind to sentience, to consciousness, and reverse the devastating effects of disease. And all of you gathered here will bear witness to the most stunning medical advancement of the century. Now look at his expression, like a child yearning for a lolly. Now, if only Molly were here with the werewolf blood, I could prepare the serum and get started. Approaching decision point. If we wish to intervene, we must make haste. The surgery will commence presently. To enact this dangerous procedure on an unconsenting person, someone completely unable to consent, is indefensible. The moral thing would be to intervene. Bloody hell, Otto, this is worse than I imagined. Perhaps we could access the surgical theater from the door just there. There's no time, Otto. We need to go around the building and save the poor patient's life if we can. A lengthy and conspicuous black cable, source unknown, terminus the guest house. Purpose of cable unknown. Aye, look at the size of it. This has to be where the power's coming in. Tune to electrical ambiance. I do detect a significant amount of electricity passing through it. Yeah, I can feel the heat coming off it. I'd wager it's running that surgical machine. Perhaps you should sever it? Normally I'd agree, Otto, but whoever's under the knife down there might need the power to stay alive. Let's circle the building and see what we see. The red beard does have a point. Okay. Okay. Watch out, here come one of Molly's goons. Skate suggests he's overly self-confident. I suggest subterfuge this way. Very well. Waste a good shrapnel, though. Okay. Not exactly sure what we're getting into here, Otto, but there's no turning back now. Alright, let me just make sure that I'm not missing something. I don't think I am, because it was a pretty clear... Yeah. No, I think I know what I was doing. No sense denying the inevitable. This is a consequence we will face together. Alright, they're inside the mansion. That was a short chapter. Chapter 16 completed. Alright, chapter 17, Clara, read. Let's see. So we're following Zora and Ivana, right? You harry the madam in her compatriot's steps. Your attire is not made for this dewy, sedgy marsh, but you press on all the same. The vestiges of urbanity fall away despite your nearness to the opulent manor house. Tall thistles catch on your stately dress as you chase the pair. But you will not be swayed, and at last the underbrush gives way to an empty expanse. 2 dark silhouettes are just visible as you arrive. In this last of meeting places, perhaps you will finally find the answers you seek. See, I don't know if it's Zora or if it's the other one. Clara, dear, you really shouldn't be here. What a shame. Clara. Calm yourself, Ivy. Shh. That's just what was said to poor Beatrix, isn't it? Oh, a clever one, I see. I don't know whether Zora used her as like her attack hound for some reason. It's impossible to know if I've gotten it very wrong or very right. That is not in point of fact what was said to Beatrix. And for what it's worth, I'll be sadder to see you go than I was with her. You were the courtesan killer all along. I have no idea what you're talking about, my dear. It was Sykes, that contemptible cove, or perhaps Ivana here. Quite a beastly thing when the moon is full. Grog, traitor. Regardless, it's too late by half. What a loss. First poor Beatrix, and now you, Ms. Reed. That was most certainly not a veiled threat. I'll need to brace for whatever's coming. Nope. A great wall of flesh, fur, and teeth crashes down on me. There is pain, there is warm blood pooling on the marsh, and then there's nothing. Well, that's not right. Jeez. That was the first time I had a death in this game. Zora, there are things we should discuss. Details in the case of the courtesan killer. Yes, I suppose it's past due. What would you like to say, Miss Reed? Ivana and I await with bated breath. Quite sure you understand the trouble you're in. Just here to ask you a few questions, Zora. There are parts of the courtesan killer case that don't add up. Okay, that's not it. By goals, Claire, I don't know what's got into her. She's like a wild animal. Ivana could puncture my skull from this position, but her claws are merely resting there. Ivy, kill her. She's a danger to us both. Kill. She's loosening her grip, slowly lifting her weight off of me. Ivana looms large and panting beside Zora, but for some reason she's allowed me to my feet. Blasted savage curse. These animals can't be trusted to do anything, but it hardly matters. That's what I thought. Okay. So then Zora set this up so that she would have werewolves, or either Sykes or Ivana kill these people, although I still don't know why. I don't know what her motive is. And tear me limb from limb while you stand idly by? Precisely. But if you prefer, I could kill you now to spare you the pain. How can you risk being so close to Ivana in such a state? I have nothing to fear, Ms. Reed. Ivana will not harm me. Ivana's form tenses above me. At this distance I feel, more than hear, the vibrations of a rumbling growl. Regrettable as the transformation may be, Ivana's no base animal. She's above such things. She has never harmed me while transformed. She, unlike so many degenerates, is faithful to her family even when pressed. Either Zora's a werewolf? Maybe? We are cousins, raised together, thick as thieves. Why, Beatrix, what did the poor girl do to you? Not what she did to me, but rather what she did to herself, consorting with that lout Sykes in such a manner. You hated Sykes that much? Monsters must be controlled. The poor girl's fate is regrettable, but often sacrifices must be made for the greater good. Did Ivana help you cover for your crimes? Oh yes, she looked out for me as I look out for her. But she must have grown sick of your brutality and your indifference to the slaughter of innocents. That's where you're wrong, Clara. Ivana knows, like I do, just what it takes to succeed in this hateful world. There are some holes in your story, Zora. I have no doubt. Perhaps you're simply not cut out to be a detective, Clara dear. I told Eve as much. I have many skills, but investigation isn't one of them. Still, you found me. That's no mean feat. You deserve whatever answers I'm able to provide, that is, if you ask the right questions. I wouldn't try that, Clara dear. Should you harm me, Ivana will tear you to pieces. Ivana will do as she's told. She will listen to her cousin, her kin, and do away with this insufferable trollop Clara Reed. Ivana, attack, you stupid inhuman beast! No, kill. This dratted curse gives the body a supernatural strength, but it weakens the mind. Ivana, attack her, you bloody animal! Go! In a flash of fur and teeth, the towering creature springs to life. I brace myself for an attack that never comes. Ivana rushes at the madam instead, knocking Zora to the ground, and her claws find purchase on Zora's leg. Ah! 75%, let's go. Ivana, she's not worth it. Stop and I'll make sure she's put away. Ivana looks back at me. I think I'm getting through to her. Ivana, that's enough for now. Ivana gets to her feet, and I am face to face with a werewolf that is keen on violence, even when enacted on her own cousin. She is still, save for the occasional twitch of her ears. Ivana, it'll be okay. But Ivana spins on Zora too fast for my eyes to follow and lifts her into the air like a child's toy. There's an awful thud as she lands, and Zora goes quiet and still. The instant Zora goes limp, Ivana backs off. The great wolf stands there, hot breath misting. We size each other up in the quiet of the marsh, and for just a moment I'm able to collect my thoughts. Without warning, Ivana's gaze breaks away and she sprints off into the fog. What's that, footsteps? No, hoofbeats approaching from the manor. Miss Reed! Clara! Are you all right? Eve? Saints, what took you? My apologies. I left as soon as a passing servant informed me of your departure, and these hooves are not made for mud. He's relieved to have found me well, though his strict decorum will never allow it to show. Where is Miss Orsini? What happened here? Ivana transformed and fled into the woods. I'm afraid there's an errant werewolf loose upon the grounds at the moment. Then Miss Orsini? Indeed. Ivana Orsini is a werewolf. She's also innocent of the mantle of the courtesan killer. That honor goes to this wretch, I'm afraid. Madame Zora is still quite unconscious, lying limply in the dirt. It would be wise to restrain her before she comes to. Then it was not Sykes after all. I cannot say I am surprised. There were far too many questions left unanswered, and it was too easy by half to levy the blame upon a werewolf. Speaking of werewolves, it would not surprise me if Ivana Orsini would be willing to testify against her cousin once she returns to human form. She might cut a deal. If not with the bobbies, then with your patrons, perhaps. I'll make a note of it, and send agents out to find her first thing in the morn. It has been an exhausting night, and my entire body aches, but at least the killer has been caught. All right. If you take these cuffs and restrain the madam, we might sling her over my back and take her back to the manor proper. My people are waiting on the grounds to take her from us. Eves pauses and looks at me keenly for a moment. Now that all this is over, Miss Reed, I must ask you, what do you have to say about the killer? She's a monster. Killing all those people, and for what? Werewolves are far less dangerous than a human with a vendetta. I quite agree. So what now? You said you had people waiting on the grounds? Once we've dealt with the madam, I'm quite sure the next move will present itself. And the end of this longest of nights, one way or another. So that finishes the storyline for Clara, which means that the things that are left are Atticus' storyline, which is about finding his mother, and what do you call it? And Redgrave's story, which I guess is still about. Still don't fully know entirely. I guess basically unveiling what's going on with Molly and with Arsenal. So those two things sort of remain in this regard. Interesting. Glad to be out of that basement. Now what's this? Looks like a few folks hanging about out here. Whatever's really going on here, it never had anything to do with Fullerville stealing Molly's property. Blast, I should have sorted things out with her earlier. She may have already left the manor. Surely someone else here is in charge, and I can demand answers from them in case I don't see Molly again. You're close, Atticus. Get to the guest house. What? Why? The guest house. Come quick before... Silence before what, damn it? Interesting. Man, technically my session's up, but I feel like I'm... I feel like I'm close. I don't know. Let me just do like another 5 minutes and see. The angelic figure holds up a torch as though it were the sole sort of light in this dark world. Maybe Lord Braxton fancies himself a shepherd of the unenlightened masses. This dwarf is dressed to the nines, a little overdressed if you ask me. I imagine he's a frequent client at Poole & Company. Evening, sir. And a good evening to you, sir. Sir Willard Rathbone here. To whom do I owe the pleasure? Atticus Daly. Well met. Fine a name as any. What's on your mind, Mr. Daly? Do you happen to know what everyone's waiting for? Well, yes. Old Braxton is putting on a show of some kind. A demonstration, that's it. In the great house, hopefully soon. Perhaps I'll take a look myself and see if I can hurry things along. Okay. That's all I need to know. What from the outside seemed to be an unassuming guest house looks more like cramped storage for steam-powered gadgets and machines of every description. Odd vehicles, long disused automatons, and weird parts of all shapes and sizes are heaped here and there under no apparent system. Some of the less recognizable items, medical inventions you're guessing, or possibly torture devices, are downright disturbing in their aspect, and the whole dim cavern is dominated by a robotic surgeon hanging from above like a hideous metal spider waiting for fresh prey. I'm not sure what lies ahead, but I have a feeling it could be violent. This is my chance to put an end to all of this. Oh, my boy. My darling boy. That was the old crone. You're here finally. That voice. It's the voice in my head, but it's coming from inside this room. It's her. But I'm the only one who can hear her even here. Her voice is coming directly from her mind. She's been with me all this time. The old crone is my mother. I kind of assumed that. Hello? You don't work for me, do you? I find Molly's goons all look more or less the same. Who's that over there? Better have a word with him. Lord Braxton, I presume. Atticus Daly. And no, I do not work for Molly. Yes, I am Lord Braxton, and you must be here to witness my groundbreaking procedure. More than that, it's really truly earth-shattering. I appreciate your enthusiasm, but I must ask you to be patient and wait with the others. I take it you wanted such a positive outcome to be observed on helpless orphans. I wager you came across the two younglings in my basement. I also wager you freed them just to spite me. Spite you? It's bad enough to use people as test subjects without their consent, doubly so when children are involved. So you'd rather put the lives of gormless street children over the opportunity to perfect my serum and bring about societal progress? Think, man. What are 2 lives against the betterment of all? Why, what's the delay? I'm waiting on a woman to bring me a vial of fluid, werewolf blood to be precise. It provides a catalyst for... Anyway, she's late and right at the critical juncture. I wonder, would you be a good lad and fetch her for me? Molly won't be coming, I'm afraid, and your captive werewolf is a free man. He's free? Do you mean to say you freed him? Is there some kind of movement to emancipate werewolves that I'm aware of? How did this fool ever get to be a titan of industry? I'm not here to debate the rights of werewolves. That woman on your table is my mother. Your mother? But I was told this vegetable, woman had no such attachments. That, along with her mental condition, is why she was chosen. I intend to mend her fractured mind just as soon as... The blustery fellow trails off as if he lost this plot. No! Fire and thunder, I won't be able to proceed without Molly's delivery. You mentioned that. You must really be the life of the party the way you spin a tale. Is that why you're hiding out in the shed? Nonsense, I'm very well liked. But without that vial from Molly, this bright dream is over. But no, I will never surrender my ambitions simply because the fates put an obstacle in my path. A cyclops of my stature. Keep rambling if you want, but I'm going to tend to my mother now. Atticus, thanks the fates that you reached me in time before that maniac could cut me open. Yes, Mother, I'm here now, but it all feels like a dream. It's really me, Atticus. You're not dreaming, nor am I. But because of my condition, I cannot move my lips or utter words. We can only go on speaking telepathically. I understand, but it's still better than not speaking with you at all. My darling Atticus, I never thought I would see you again. Mother, why did you have to abandon me? I'm sorry, sweet child, but your father forced me. You never knew him, but he was a statesman and a politician. He couldn't have it slip that he had a Minotaur child. It would have ruined his career. Like myself, he must have cast an illusion to conceal his true form. Wait, I remember something. My ring, do you have it by chance? I do, Mother. Here you go. My ring! Oh, Atticus, I knew you'd find and hold on to it. Same way I held on to hope that I'd find you. Her body remained still as I slipped the ring onto her finger. I bet she'd have cried tears of joy were she able to. My mother loved me deeply, but she had to give me up. The fear and turmoil she went through must be felt as my own so that I can understand. The anger that has led me to so many of my decisions, it was a bitter wind that left me on the doorstep of the Sacred Heart. I know that you came back for me. Yes, but I was dragged from the Sacred Heart when I arrived to retrieve you by a terrible man, the same man your father hired to crush his political rivals. I must fear the anger and fear that she felt on that day so that I won't absorb it and continue to feel it as my own. I mustn't repeat the cycle. Forgiving her is the only way to save myself. Mother, it's okay. I forgive you. I'm just glad we can be together now. Well. Here we are at last, and not too late, I hope. If you haven't yet been acquainted, this is Dr. Wainwright. Strike me blind, I hadn't figured there was an operating theater in here. I know you were nervous about snooping around the manor looking for your patients, but aren't you glad I convinced you to come? Well, that I am. But what an awful sight this is, poor Matilda. As for your guests, Lord Braxton, I fear they won't be joining us. Lady Braxton was decidedly in her cups and failed to bring them here. Whatever the stranger did to get Dr. Wainwright to follow him, he did so with enchanting authority. Seems he can put a spell on just about anyone he takes an interest in. By the fates, this machinery is terribly complex and terribly unsafe. What was he about to do to my patient? I was about to make scientific history, that's what. Curses. This isn't how it should have gone. And there's not even an audience to see it. What about us? We're quite special people. This is interesting how this is all getting tied together. How these were separate lines. So he basically, Atticus had this whole thing with his mother. Clara had the whole bill with a courtesan killer. And then that just leaves Teddy Redgrave with Otto and figuring out everything relating to that. I should have known I couldn't count on my wife to corral the guests. She's never without a drink in hand. Probably she fell into the roses again. Old chap, I certainly won't advise you on your marriage. But it's not all bad. You've found a compelling application for the serum. Gentlemen, I have to say my formula is not yet entirely stable. Not to worry, good doctor. It's in the 99th percentile. That's enough for queen and country. My research. The core. I won't let you steal it from me. Do you mean the research that you and Molly stole from Dr. Wainwright? I thought as much. When your investors find out how far you've strayed from your promises, legally binding ones, you'll be in very deep water indeed. It was necessary to harvest the blood of an active werewolf. Without it, the serum was terribly unreliable. That's right, you need to use activated blood for the serum to stabilize, but you can't just kidnap people like Sykes and Matilda to achieve your aims. I only wanted a human subject in whom to install the core. Yes, and that may happen in the future, because the determination core is indeed a fine invention, but we'll take it from here. What does he mean by we? Sounds like the Queen herself has put her trust in the stranger, at least in regard to tracking down cutting-edge research chemicals. Derived from the blood of werewolves. Silas will deal with you momentarily once my good friend Eve arrives. And don't get any ideas or I'm happy to put a bullet through that boiler on your conveyance. You're full of steam and bloody mad besides. As for Matilda Daly, it was a chancy thing for a while, but she'll survive. I suppose he thinks himself rather high and mighty, seeing as he was right about my mother being alive. And Mr. Daly, that was quite a timely entrance. Whatever your flaws, I dare say you delivered in the end. Pretty compliments mean less than a Brent farthing to me. Why in blazes are you here? And how are you involved in his awful mess? An excellent question which I shall answer in due course. But first, my sincere congratulations on rescuing your mother. Most impressive and most unexpected. I don't believe I like the sounds of that. Did you know about all this, that my mother was in danger? Did I know your mother was on the cusp of death just a moment ago? Perhaps. But you were at her side at the opportune moment, so let's leave that happy memory as it is. Bloody hell, he doesn't care for nuance at all, even when the human life is at stake. As to your prior question, I stand before you as a representative of the Crown, that is to say, Her Majesty the Queen. How about a peek beneath that mask of yours, eh? At least tell me your name. Revealing something about yourself would go a long way towards earning a bit of trust. Ask not for my name or face, for I've surrendered both as part of my calling, and we shall truck in neither. Trust rather in what I represent, the wisdom and will of Her Royal Highness. Fellow certainly has a knack for talking in circles. I wonder if he's ever served in Parliament. I know that you shared a certain book with Ms. Nandi Mabasso. You strike me as a student of magic willing to share arcane knowledge with others and leverage it for the greater good. But how, unless he and Ms. Mabasso were acquainted? I wouldn't be surprised. Her Majesty's Secret Service is in need of good mages, but you've got to focus on honing your abilities. Perhaps after hearing my proposal, you'll be intrigued to study with some of Britain's finest. Very well, carry on. I don't wish to belabor my introduction, but I work for an organization called the Sovereign Syndicate. Ah! Finally we get the name of the game. We handle unsavory tasks in which Her Majesty's hand must remain unseen. That's the first thing coming out of his gob that I don't doubt in the slightest. And the reason I'm here is to gather all my agents, witting and otherwise, in one place. I've chosen you, Atticus, and a few others yet to arrive, to collaborate with me on a very important mission. A few others? I don't know if I should take solace in the knowledge I'm not his sole quarry. I must say, you rescuing the orphans from the basement has showed me both selflessness and bravery. Even a souse like me wouldn't dare to look the other way. They needed help. I have to respectfully disagree with you on that. Alcohol is a way of dulling one's sense of empathy. But you don't have any qualms with opium, do you? When it serves a purpose, as I'm sure you recall from the dream you had in the Red Lotus. Perhaps he's right. Everything in moderation. I'll admit that I've no clue what you told the Dawson twins in Saurus Square, but they've rekindled their brotherly relationship owing to your silver tongue. That'll come in handy. Well, it wasn't much trouble, really. I applaud you helping Poe Pickett find his flat purse. Society hardly cares for the economically downtrodden, and it takes an especially conscientious cove to be service. So this is all like going through the stuff that we ended up doing throughout the course of the game. It just felt like the right thing to do. Besides, it's not like I acted out of character. Your knack for subterfuge will come in handy. You snuck into the manor with help from the Ratcatcher and reunited Annika with her companions. Come in handy for what? Sounds like you're about to offer me a job. Indeed, Mr. Daly. But before I do, wouldn't you like to ask me a few more questions? What's so special about the serum anyway? It was originally Dr. Wainwright's brainchild, if you'll excuse the pun. A highly Right? Seriously, Makatai. A highly refined extract of werewolf blood. The exact science behind it would take hours to explain. Give me the short version. The serum temporarily imparts superhuman strength and cell regeneration, abilities which an active werewolf is privy to. Fascinating. The good doctor chose Bethnal House for his round of experiments because the subjects there were readily accessible. Might I add that I also had little to no recourse to outside aid. Society hasn't come around to doing this sort of research, so I've had to keep it hush-hush. Why did Silas want to use the serum to implant the augmentation in my mother's brain? One of the beneficial properties of the serum is to prevent a patient's system from attacking foreign objects, such as metallic implants. Gives me a headache just to imagine it. In this case, it would have been Silas's determination core modified from his prototype used on automatons so that it could be used on an organic being. You said you handle tasks and that you're here to gather agents. There must be more you can tell me about the Sovereign Syndicate, in case you couldn't have been any more bloody vague. I can reveal only a limited amount. Yeah, this feels very much like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. The Syndicate is a secret governmental organization answering to the office of the Queen and no one else. We advance the interests of the Empire whenever a situation is politically fraught or an enemy is particularly resourceful. You're spies, then. A crude term to describe a very sophisticated operation, but I suppose it will do for now. If we are spies, we are kings among spies. Very few know of the Syndicate's existence, and almost no one knows the identity of its agents. Do I really want to get tangled up with this blackguard? He spends his whole life behind a mask. He's plainly a capable and intelligent fellow. Could do with a few more friends like that. And he can handle himself. Would be nice to have a bit of power on my side for a change. So, will you accept my offer? Very well, I accept your offer, but with a few conditions. Join the Syndicate. Yes, we'll get to the details later on. But I assure you, you've made the right choice. Yep, here we go. Here's Theodore and Otto. Or Teddy, I should say. Brocker's beard, that machinery looks complex and menacing. Can't help but wonder what would have become of that poor woman. Good thing we've been spared a potentially ghastly sight. Otto, it's good to see you again. Your steady climb from machine to thinking being has been fascinating. Thank you. Mr. Teddy built me well. That he did. Rare is the machine right now, who not only exercises free will, but does so for the betterment of his fellow automatons. Curious that your efforts mirrored my own, even if nothing fruitful came of them. I hope that I have planted the seeds for something. And here is Otto's friend, the redoubtable Theodore Redgrave. Glad to see the two of you working together again. Otto told me about this foul mischief of Silas. We were hoping to interrupt. And interrupt we did. Just who are you, anyhow? How do you know Otto and my name? Mr. Redgrave, surely you realize that you made a hard-to-ignore name for yourself by hunting down beasts. Your decision to destroy that secret distillery and restore heat to the Shorelock tenements did not go unnoticed either. If you're so interested in my services, why didn't you send me a writ? I know you, Mr. Redgrave. You would dispose of that writ the instant you discovered that what this job does not involve tracking a monster. Well, if your penmanship were spotless and your reward large, I might consider it. Both you and Otto will be interested in what I have in store. And I assure you it will be of some significance, not only for you, but for Queen and country. Well, hop to it then. My patience is getting thin. So the Syndicate has 3 agents. Clara, Teddy, and Atticus. That's cool. I don't know what you were planning on doing to that woman, but that machinery looks right out of a nightmare. Is that Miss Clara Reed? I can't say it's expected, but it's good to see you all the same. Likewise, Mr. Redgrave. Look here, Lord Braxton. Know that I'm armed and unafraid to use force should you not cooperate. You don't have to make this any harder than it already is. So at last the chips are stacked against me. Thank you for the follow. When I only wanted to bring peace and harmony between man and machine. Don't push it. You're in enough hot water as it is. Suppose there's no point in worsening matters. Any road, once my team of lawyers get together, you'll be the ones in trouble. All right, this way. Try not to do anything you'll regret. Here's the final piece of the puzzle. Ms. Clara Reed, who, with the help of my associate, Mr. Chalamet Duval, solved the case of the courtesan killer. Ah, bloody well done, Miss Reed. I'll bet they'll brew it about that in Scotland Yard for years to come. My gratitude to you, Miss Reed, for ending the killer's reign. The capture of the courtesan killer is one piece of good news at least. I'm pleased to see that my decision about each of you was a good one. I had had some concerns about your cooperation. Something tells me he would have found some way to convince us no matter what. But he sees my potential. Now that's bloody wonderful. Now that we're all gathered here, follow me, and we will discuss your future with the Sovereign Syndicate. Narrow beams of light begin to creep across the horizon, refracting through dense smoke and bathing everything in an orange glow. The ferry carries us back to the St. Catherine docks as a new dawn washes away the stain of last night's events. Wending his way through the East End's back alleys, the masked stranger brings us to Dolores Laundry. Dolores pulls a lever beneath her counter and invites us into a secret passage. Who knew the masked stranger had been operating beneath the streets of Red Lantern Lane this whole time? Her Majesty calls upon our services. Danger waits, got back up to 90, in the dark places of this world, sharpening teeth and poisoning blades. The Sovereign Syndicate stands between the innocent and those who would do them harm. We are the sword, the shield, and the whisper holding back calamity. Hell of a speech. Let's get to work. That's very cool, actually. Yay! Very cool. Chapter 18. I thought that it actually... I felt like the last chapter was a little rushed. Like there was a big sort of info dump that we got at the very end. That he's just like, and then I meant this, and I meant this, and I meant this. But it was very cool to see this all kind of come together in this way. And it was very intricately plotted before that. I wasn't sure where we were going. When we got to Braxton's Manor, I knew obviously everything was sort of coalescing there, but I didn't know why. And it was interesting that once we got there and everything began to coalesce, then we began to find out who the masked stranger was. It's a little odd to me that we don't get the same decision process from Clara, and we don't get the same decision process from from Teddy. Like, if Atticus is the main character, okay, I guess, but it felt very much like they were trying to do 3 separate lines. Like, we were definitely in the mind of Clara, in the perspective of Clara as much as we were Atticus, probably a little bit more. And Teddy might have been a touch behind Atticus and Clara because we also spent some time in Otto's head, but very cool stuff. I like this. There are aspects, there is a lot of reading, which is the same issue that comes up with Disco Elysium, which is not a bad thing, but it means that as a stream game, I'm not 100% sure how incredibly fascinating it is as a stream game. But I think it's very interesting and engaging, and I like to encourage stories that are not just driven on the combat side, but are sort of skill-based. I thought the tarot system was interesting, too. Graphically interesting, really liked the character designs. As I say, I thought the dialogue was very good. The music I thought was okay, but frankly a little limited. I would have liked to see some more songs, to hear some more songs out of it. Some of the stuff was very kind of like, meh. But very cool, though. I mean, in general, I think a very interesting game. Not sure what I would give this. Maybe like maybe a 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10, maybe a 7 out of 10. It would be interesting to put this dialogue framework on top of an actual sort of more traditional RPG combat system. That would be interesting to me, because you'd be able to see a lot more that would come out of it, I think, in that scenario. And in the end, I want to see how long I spent on it. I want to say I probably spent it probably took about 15 hours to play, maybe. Maybe 15 to 18 hours. But that was neat. And I think it was backed by, I think it was a Canadian production. I think this is a Canadian dev team. And so the LXG were born. Well, the other thing is, boy, does it ever set up for future games. And I will admit, it's automatically going to get some higher points from me. Like, it gains a half point for me simply because of the fact that what it does in the end is it turns out it's a spy society. I love freaking spy stuff. You sign me up for that, oh man. All day. My Eberron campaign, which I'm currently playing, my tabletop Eberron campaign, has the King's Citadel in it, which is basically the King's Citadel is this sort of elite group of operatives that does stuff that no one else can do. They really are more special forces than they are spies, but it is very much in that sort of same group. I saw Mitch Gittleman's name up there, formerly from Harebrained Schemes. That's cool. But yeah, it definitely sets up for that. It definitely sets up for and then the LXG were born. That was cool. Very interesting game. And I think it's also, it was obviously more than a proof of concept, but that's definitely a thing that I'd like to see more of, is a game that pushes the envelope this way. I want more spy stuff anyway, like in general, and then Victorian spy stuff is super cool. I like the diversity of the races too. I like the idea that the Minotaurs were an interesting sort of mix here, I thought. And being able to cast an illusion. I thought that thing was a little underbaked, honestly. I thought they could have done even more with that than they did. But it was neat. I dug it. Good stuff. And also, I think it crashed once. And I think that was it. So there you go. 13 hours. Wait, what? Get out of here. 13 hours. That was how long it took. 13 hours and 10 minutes. So that's pretty good. I mean, that's 15 hours total. Right now, I think this is like $40, the deluxe edition. But frankly, you don't need the deluxe edition, in my opinion. I think you could just get the regular edition. I think would be totally fine. Okay. And let's see, if I were to rank this by... So what was the rare? There is a rare one, which is to, wow, refuse the order to join the Syndicate, 1.4%. That's interesting. That's interesting. And then the rarest one I had was the Task Fisherman's Bride, 5.6%. I think that was the rarest one that I had there. Very cool. Very cool. And I'm glad we finished it. I don't know what we're going to do next. Later on, I'm not sure. But very neat. And I would recommend it to people. I think it is definitely worth it. And yeah, I would recommend this game. But right now, chat, I'm going to recommend that I get on out of here. I ran a little bit over. I knew that Kilgore isn't coming on for a couple of hours, and I figured I was close enough that I could finish. And I did, especially because we had that disruption at the beginning when I was dealing with all the junk with the freaking my basement and all that. And for those of you who were here for that whole time, I apologize again about that. But I am glad that we managed to get through and play through Sovereign Syndicate, which I hope you enjoyed. No idea what I'm going to be doing next for a game. Next week, I think I have another video game that's on the docket, so I'll think of something. I'm not sure. I'm actually looking forward to sort of casting about and seeing a new game. I was thinking very seriously about Tintin, about trying to go back and give it another shot because they gave another big patch, but I feel like I've given that game so many tries, and I don't know, maybe I might try doing that one more time because I was closing in on the end of that game too. I was really enjoying that, but it's just so janky and they made so many bad design decisions and ugh. So I don't know. I'm not sure. But I did enjoy Sovereign Syndicate. I'm glad that I played it, and I hope you folks enjoyed it as well. But that is going to do it for me for now. I am going to be streaming later on tonight. In about an hour and a half, I will be over on my channel with my voice team called the Vocalists, and we are going to be playing some of the awesome The Banner Saga 3. I highly recommend that. That is also a GOG game, of course, so you should stop by for that. And then Kilgore Trout is going to be here in a few hours playing the amazing Deus Ex, and obviously you should know a lot about that, and that is worth checking out if you like the RPG sort of thing. I'll also be on my channel tomorrow night. Not me, but I will be hosting some more of the Community D&D Waterdeep Dragon Heist with the Shadow Crew, and you should definitely make sure that you stop by for that. But that's going to do it for me for episode 420 of Pen and Pixels. Next week, episode 421 will be something new. I don't know what it is yet, but we'll see. And then we've got Talisman Adventures at the end of the month, and that will almost wrap up Talisman Adventures. One more session after that one will then wrap us up, and then we will have Saltmarsh, Ghosts of Saltmarsh, twice a month here, and the rest of it will be video games of different types. So if you like what you saw and heard, I hope you will follow us here on GogCom's Twitch channel. I hope if you like what you heard, if you liked what you heard, you will subscribe to us here on GogCom's Twitch channel as well. And I hope you will consider, if you have not done so already, clicking through and checking out our own individual channels, because we have our own individual subsystems and Patreons and stuff like that as well. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you all so much for being here. You're all the best. I will see you folks hopefully at my channel in about 90 minutes, but otherwise make sure that you're back here for Kilgore Trout in a couple of hours with Deus Ex, and I will see you folks as well on my channel for the rest of the week and right back here at 4 p.m. Eastern next week for something new for episode 421 of Pen and Pixels. Until then, everyone, please be good to each other, and as always, have a good night.
Gets more cold this time of year. The sun is hidden far from